good, in particular at North Carolina State. It was a day that the COVID numbers were pretty good again in Memphis. This is a day where the depth chart for the University of Memphis came out, even though they still have Kenneth Gainwell on there. He won't be. And it is the day they changed the game in New Orleans from a Saturday until a Friday. So they've moved another game from a Saturday to a Friday. There'll be 2 Friday games. The rest will all be Saturday if indeed we play all of these games. I'm in studio from the beautiful burb of Forest City. My man, Brett Norsworthy, 10 UCF players. 10, Brett, including a quarterback who we've not seen. Well, we saw, actually. We didn't see UCF starting quarterback last year because this kid, Darryl Mack, got beaten out. But Mack transferred, and he played against the University of Memphis when Mackenzie Milton got hurt. And you might recall he played really well. They got beat out last year by a freshman from Hawaii. But he's opted out. They have a couple of starters on the defensive side that have opted out and a bunch of reserves on the offensive line. I got a feeling, I hate to say this, but I think this is only the beginning. I think we're going to see a bunch of folks opt out as the season continues to go on.
Sure. Oh, sure. Yeah, we're going to see a bunch. We're going to see it in the NFL. You're going to see a big name in the NFL, and we're going to see it with every passing week in college football. Take, for instance, fill in whatever team you want to out there, whatever conference you want to. You get off to and good afternoon, Dave. I'm sorry. And you get off to a rugged start, and things are looking bleak, and it's not as much fun having to be out there every afternoon from 3:30 to 5:30 or whatever the assigned practice time and the meeting times are. And I've had enough of this. And I think you're going to see that. That's natural human nature. There will be others that won't. There will be others that can't wait for that opportunity if it's next player up. But we're going to see it. And we will see a big name in the NFL, I think, before opening weekend, and for sure as the season goes along, that they're concerned about this, and maybe it just might not be worth it.
And that could be. I know in the tweet that came out last evening after we were off the air from Kenny Gainwell, that it came down to COVID for him. Basically, he lost 3 people, and he names them in there and says this was the toughest decision, but at this point, in his words, it's time for me to take care of my family. Now, I don't know if we read that as I got to get ready for the draft, and so financially that's the way I'm going to do it, or I've got enough illness, I don't want to give it to anybody else, and his brother's on the team, but his brother probably isn't going to play, so he may be safer. And I think the biggest thing for Kenneth was not his own team, but playing against others that might have it. Now, this is where I really believe that because of Abbott's new nasal swab, where you're going to get these instant results within 15 minutes, the new saliva tests that are going to be mass distributed that are also very quick to give you results. And I was reading a thing from an NFL doctor saying this is why I think we're going to stay ahead of it, is because of all these tests. You shouldn't have to worry about playing the next team, because if you got tested the day before the game and no one's got it, it doesn't matter if there's sweat or blood or slobber, because everybody's negative, so there's not going to be any transmission of the disease. That sounds
pretty rough in good times, though. Yeah. sweat, blood, and slobber. But that's part of it. You're right, and it's Kenneth Gainwell's business. It's the brother's business to stay on the team. Now, you said what were your exact words about the brother's not going to play, so he wouldn't get. He wouldn't get hurt He wouldn't get hurt playing, but he still could be exposed as much to the virus as the brother that's not playing.
Well, the way I described that, or I tried to anyway. If I missed, I did. But one brother would be playing a lot against a team that he was more fear of. He was not fearful, from what I understand, about his own teammates. But
yeah, you described it well. I didn't understand it well. I'm sorry.
So if he's standing on the sideline with his team, and
Exactly.
they've been tested 3 times a week, and that's
less exposure.
That's part of the deal.
I got you.
Yeah.
Dave, you did a good job explaining. I did a really poor job understanding.
It's okay.
I was really more concerned with talking than with listening. I'm sorry.
So anyway, but that might be the
that
reason.
was on me.
Right. Well, but the point is, one brother might feel like I can't bring this home.
For sure.
I'm exposing myself
For sure.
more. And so that's and I haven't talked to anybody, so I'm just guessing when I say that.
I have I haven't seen a lot of interaction. I'm not looking for a lot of rancor. Don't want a lot of rancor, but I haven't seen a lot of rancor and contempt whatsoever for Kenneth Gainwell out there.
No.
I don't think that there should be. He gave that university some really good ball. I'm sorry it wasn't longer. I wish it had been. I loved watching him play last year. I, like David Cobb, thought even before some of the bigger conferences opting out that he was maybe in contention for a Heisman candidacy. I don't know about winning it, but in a candidacy,
right.
It's hard to close the deal on that thing. But now for him, go on to an NFL future, and I hope it's great for him. I love their hometown, Yazoo City, and I hope he does well. And none for any of them out there. And with that new testing, I think that is what's moving. That and maybe some other external pressure. It might be moving the Big Ten, with Dan Patrick now reporting that the Big Ten is looking to a October 10th launch. Pete Thamel from Yahoo roundly refuting that. So Pete Thamel versus Dan Patrick.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's contempt with that. It's just different sourcing and different reporting, and we'll see which one's right and which one's wrong.
Well, I know the president tweeted out today that he had spoken with the commissioner of the Big Ten.
And 1 yard line. He didn't say which 1 yard line, though.
Well,
is that 99 to go or 1 to go?
No, I think it's 1 to go. He said, we're at the 1 yard line. That actually was the first thing that entered my mind. And then as I read on this thing, I realized he was talking about like they were going to take it across the goal line. There is still a lot of discussion to be done on that. And frankly, today is September the 1st. You really think you can get this all done with television programming and everything within a month? Maybe,
yes.
But you still go back to
conference
that vote.
only.
You go back to the vote that was released last week,
exactly.
Last
that's
week.
a lot
yesterday.
of people to strong arm and swing.
That's right.
And those presidents are the presidents that matter, not the one at 1600.
That by
those
the way,
university presidents matter more.
And that was an 11-3 vote, and you've got to get 60% of the vote to overturn it. So you got to swing some guys, man.
And who's the most flippable? I just don't know. I don't know the tenor and tone. I think one of the obvious ones probably would be Penn State.
I was going to say that would be the first one because James Franklin has been pretty vocal about wanting to play. So maybe he could flip that. Now you got 4, and you got to get to 9, I think it is.
Okay, that's 5 to go.
Yeah, I don't think Northwestern.
I don't think the governor of Michigan is going to allow either Michigan or Michigan State.
Right. So Michigan. So there's 2 that you're not going to get. I doubt Northwestern's going to swing. I don't know about Illinois,
Purdue, Indiana, Minnesota.
Those are all up for grabs, but that's probably where you're going to go. Then
I just don't have. I wouldn't have a feel. It would be a total speculative shot in the dark for me. I don't have a feel on that. You know what? We might need to catch up with somebody from Big Ten country and see what the temperature.
Maybe
I know Bill Bender will know on Thursday.
Many people asked. I got a bunch of texts anyway. I should say they haven't asked really here, pertaining to who would be the guy other than Rodriguez Clark that really you will count on now. And Rodriguez is
the player from Whitehaven.
He showed a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Last year didn't get that many snaps, but Rodriguez Clark is actually listed as a starter on the depth chart with Kenny as a starter in another running back role. So Rodriguez Clark was going to start anyway, and that you have in place, you had Kylan Watkins, who's the kid from Whitehaven that you're referring to.
Yeah.
He was the
It's
backup.
John Varlas loves.
He was the backup to Kenneth Gainwell. You have Asa Martin in there, who was the backup to Rodriguez Clark. Now,
transfer from Auburn?
Auburn and Miami. He's been around. He
wow.
He went to Decatur. He's from Decatur, Alabama. Went to Austin High School. The other kid that I think has a shot here, and I'll know more on Thursday when we have our Zoom meetings. But Kalen Granberry is a transfer who went to Raleigh Egypt High School and played at Jones County Junior College. I think he's a guy who's very much in the mix too. So you've got 4 guys you can still count on. Are any of them going to be Kenny Gainwell, especially right off the bat? I mean, what are the odds on that? How many times have we had All-American running backs in the University of Memphis backfield?
But why does it have to end? We didn't know Kenneth Gainwell a year. A lot of us didn't. Some
did.
of you closer to the team did, and then he emerged from Patrick Taylor. Patrick Taylor emerged from Darrell Henry. We know the litany of backs that in this program has shown that. I think this program in Arkansas State, the opponent on Saturday, a lot of things mirror each other, and they both have had a lot of different coaches in the 21st century.
Yep.
But a lot of them have done well.
Well, let's be honest. That's part of the reason why, and it was weird circumstances. They were able to get Gus Malzahn. Come on, that was very fortunate for them. They were able to get Hugh Freeze.
Started with Freeze.
Yeah.
They had Joe Hollis to start the new century. Then they had Steve Roberts. Then Hugh Freeze. Then Gus Malzahn.
Right. Steve Roberts though lasted 9 years. He's the longest tenured coach in the history of the school.
What, was it that long? I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, it was.
But now Blake Anderson has had a
6
good
years.
run. And if they can, and maybe Memphis can have that Blake Anderson run in Coach Silverfield.
We sure hope so. If you're telling me he's going to be here for 6 years, I'd be a really happy.
He's
guy.
Winning.
Yeah.
He's
right.
won a bunch, and he's probably fended off an offer or two.
We hope so. And I keep going back. Most coaches say this though, but he said it with such sincerity, I believed him. He was saying, unlike Fuente and unlike Mike Norvell, and I'll be honest with you, Mike was very upfront at all times with me, even more than Justin Fuente on this particular subject, and I had a close relationship with Justin. But Mike would always say, I'm really not interested in leaving except for a few schools. Texas was one. Washington, he loves Washington. Arizona, by the way, or Arizona State, was not one of them, believe it or not. But Oklahoma would have been one. So, there were schools, including Florida State and Florida, that he would have bolted for. But he was very, upfront with that. He would say, look, I really don't want to go, but if somebody gives me a shot at a school where you can win a national title, and of course they're going to pay you, I owe that to my family to do that. Mm-hmm. And so we knew that was the case. With Ryan, if you'll recall, when he was pretty much lobbying for this job, he let everybody know this was the job he wanted. He didn't want to go anywhere else. He loved Memphis.
I think sincerely.
His wife loved Memphis. She now has her medical degree, and she's doing a residency in Memphis. She's not in any hurry to go anywhere because they had been separated while she was in medical school. So this is a place they want to be. So I really do think that if he's got that choice to make, he's not in any hurry to go. And so if he can keep this thing going like I think he will, and you go from Fuente to Norvell to this should be a run that we stay in for a while.
What is Coach's wife's medical practice? What's her specialty?
I think she's in obstetrics, but don't hold me to that.
Okay. Very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive.
Oh, she's an amazing human being. She is from South America to begin with, spent some of her life, like her high school years, in Israel.
Wow.
And she's
terrific.
Brilliant and beautiful, by the way.
Very worldly.
Yeah.
And loves Memphis. I love that.
Yeah.
Dave, you know what I spent a lot of time doing last night? I don't think we can use it because I think somewhere in there would probably violate your agreement and the Tigers' agreement with their broadcast partner. But I spent a lot of time last night watching Labor Day 1991, Tigers and USC.
Oh my goodness!
Because I wanted to pull a highlight and start next Labor Day with Drew playing that, and then I thought, no, I bet somewhere in there that probably violates something. And
maybe we can get permission.
Do that.
I'll try to get us permission to do that. I mean, that was
Okay, you did
91.
that.
We're talking 29 years ago, for goodness sake, and it was
I
incredible.
respect rights fees, though.
Yeah.
You know,
I understand that. There might be a statute of limitations on those things. Who knows?
Yeah, but there might not be too. I didn't want to do it, but it was fun watching. I remember watching it live, and I remember how fun the upset was, and then it built to just a few days later. Well, that was on Monday, and then on Saturday, I would say one of the more anticipated Ole Miss Memphis games ever, and hot as you know where that night.
Yeah.
In 91,
following
Saturday, 5 days later.
Did you, when, we're making picks today, we're doing USF at 3:45, we're doing Temple at 4:45, or thereabouts. And I hope you guys did not go by that sheet that we had originally gotten, because
I went by footballschedules.com sheet.
So
11 games for South Florida, 8 for Temple.
That's exactly what I got. So you got the new the new South Florida one is quite different from the original.
I got them opening with Citadel and closing at UCF.
And you got Notre Dame as the second game at Notre Dame?
I do.
Okay, so you've got the right one. I got to tell you this.
Boy, scheduling's out there crazy.
So let's just so you know that let's use this as an example, because I think it's really interesting. Because I started doing this, and then basically I decided to call USF to figure this out, because it just didn't
it's
seem
almost
right
an oxymoron that we're calling it a schedule.
Right. So this thing was supposed to start with a game at Texas. So you know how much – so Memphis we know, at least at this point, because they haven't gotten anything from Purdue yet. And that's still to be decided how that all plays out.
Checks in the mail.
But that was $750,000.
I wouldn't borrow against it.
$750,000. That's what Purdue was supposed to pay Memphis to come. Do you know how much Texas was paying USF? And they did a 2-for-1. They still got a 3-game series.
I'm going to start with a 1 point something.
The 1 point is correct. 1.5, Drew, is not correct, but you got to put your mic on. Oh, $1.5 million is not correct.
1.7?
1.9. $1.9 million.
That was Charlie Strong lingo in there, wasn't it?
Here's the deal that makes it so weird to me is it was the 3-game series. So they're actually going to Tampa one time, and they were going to pay twice $1.9 million for them to come to Texas, to Austin. That's incredible to me.
Texas doesn't mind taking on the road. They've never been much for being scared. They'll go play you about anywhere, anytime. And I respect that.
So that was the first game, $1.9 million they lost on Texas. Then they were supposed to play Bethune-Cookman. That game's out. Then they were going to play Nevada. That game is out. Then they're going to play at Florida Atlantic, and that game is in, but it's
good.
And I think it's actually in the original date. But Citadel and Notre Dame at Notre Dame are now in there, and I have no idea how they got that series with Notre Dame.
No,
and that's the one non-conference game Notre Dame is playing. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, and they got a couple of games out of that, and we saw a lot of TV times released today, SEC, ACC, other games, Notre Dame and Clemson, maybe the game of the year. On November 7th will be in prime time, Alabama and LSU. The next week will be in prime time after the third round of the Masters. What a TV rating that'll be dragging into Bama LSU.
Well, yeah, what I found interesting is the 2020 SEC on CBS. They really have. So they start we know Mississippi State at LSU first Saturday. That'll be a 2:30 game in this market. Then you got A&M at Alabama. Then it's going to be announced. Then Georgia at Alabama, because they know that's great. Then it's going to be announced. Then LSU at Auburn on the 31st. Florida, Georgia, that's the traditional game. Alabama, LSU. Everything else is to be announced. I give them credit. They're going to get the best darn games the way the season plays out, and it's going to be must-watch TV.
It will be. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in our great city of Memphis. 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the golden opportunity September fall sales event. Great offers on the remaining 2020 models and the 2021s. Some are there and more on the way. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus, too. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, I'm going to go with the Big Ten playing college football in the fall. There's one guy reporting that it'll happen. There's a couple that are reporting that it probably won't, despite the conversation that Kevin Warren, the Big Ten commissioner, had with the president of the United States. Now, they are talking a lot about the new nasal swab that was developed by Abbott that we got a lot of attention from last week. And maybe that will change their minds, but you've got to ask yourself, how quickly is that distribution going to come? And should it immediately go to a Big Ten just to appease everybody? I mean, that doesn't make total sense to me either. And the third thing is, I could believe it if you told me November 1st. I think October 1st is rather
October 10th.
Arduous, or October 10th. I still think
that's a little aspirational.
It is hard to get there that quickly.
Does everybody wait on them if they need October 17th or October 24th? I say yes. I say the Big Ten's done enough for college football that if this has been a little bit self-induced, but they've done enough for the brand of college football that we wait.
If it took and you had to play instead of those early bowl games, if you finished their season in December, played your championship games in that first week of January, and then did the 2 weeks of playoffs, that would be fine. I think you're right. I think you would wait for the Big Ten, and then think about what if that does indeed happen, and we get through this year, and that's a big if, because I'm not convinced,
big ifs,
especially with these opt-outs that I'm seeing now. If we got through it, you would wait, but how much pressure is that going to put on the Pac-12 for sticking by we're not playing?
Oh, they're going to do whatever the Big Ten tells them to do. But I think we wait on the Big Ten. Look, people can be as dug in as they want. You can be as local and parochial and homer as you want. It's the Big Ten. They deserve some time. But we got to know how much time. My top story: the opt-outs are going to be part of it. There's a big one coming from the NFL sooner rather than later. I don't know anything, but I know the one's going to happen. Teams will have it all year long. It may imperil a team finishing the season, and we'll just have to finish with whoever we can finish with.
Not top story of the day.
Well, those are the numbers, and it's actually not bad today. Again, we see these numbers going down. We still have too many, 110 cases, 2 new fatalities, 1,051 tests, but at 10.5%, so that's going down 3 or 4% from yesterday. Here's the other nice thing. Hospital space continuing to become more and more available. We got a nice improvement. We're down, listen to this, we're down to 215 COVID cases that are in hospitals. That's it. So
I wonder what the occupancy of the hospitals were a year ago sans COVID.
That's a fair question, but if only there's only 215, it can't be more than it's probably.
They may have been more full a year ago.
Who knows? I really don't know the answer to that, but I know we are really getting this under control. 27,697 cases in Shelby, 384 total deaths. But we see by averages this is getting better and better. Now, it's not everywhere in the country that way. All you have to do is look at NC State, where they basically had to close student housing. They've said, we've given up. We're not even going to try it anymore for a while because we've got too many cases. So we know it's not that way everywhere, but we know it's getting better in Shelby County. In Tennessee, 155,000 cases, 1,700 who have passed, 83,000 in Mississippi with 24, almost 2,500 deaths. We're approaching that. And in Arkansas, 61,797. In the United States now, 6.2 million cases, 188,000 who have perished, 3.5 million who have recovered. And the dashboard, 25.75 million, 857,000 fatalities, almost 18 million recoveries now, and again 170 vaccines. But keep an eye on the 3 that are in the final stages, because I think the FDA announced today that they would be willing to, as these numbers continue to be impressive on 1 or 2 of the treatments or vaccines, that they would be willing to let them become mass distributed earlier than they had even anticipated. And of course, the news about the Abbott nasal swab continues to make you feel a whole lot better about testing.
My not top story, baseball plugging away okay. It's not been easy. It's been a little odd, a little weird, some different games, some different style of play, the whole extra inning thing. It's been odd. It really has been. The bubble's been a smashing success. But, let's buck up and gain a little confidence. Now the Big Ten talking about trying to play. I think the Pac-10 will fall in line and do whatever they're told. I'm ready to move it, Dave, officially. One out, bottom of the 6th.
Oh, 1 out, bottom of the 6th.
Man, I'm ready for that 7th inning stretch, aren't you?
I'll tell you what, I'd like that. I don't know that I'm as bullish. I'd say we're still in the 5th. Still in the 5th, maybe middle of the 5th.
I'm just 1 out in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, I'm moving it back.
I'm not
just a
standing
little
and singing
bit.
yet.
Just
Harry's not out singing yet.
A little bit.
When's Harry sing?
He sings in the bottom of the 7th, buddy. That's when Harry starts to
get Harry out
sing.
there.
We got a busy show. Cabe Kuhn's going to join us. We'll talk about that Tiger depth chart. USF picks we will make at 3:45. Brent Beard on college football. He comes your way at 4. It's the debut of our friend Jeff Moore, the former Tennessee Volunteer and Los Angeles Ram from days ago. Jeff Moore, who has been doing a talk show within this family of stations for, I think it's his 25th, 26th year, something like that.
27th.
27th year?
Started
Wow.
in 93.
Wow. Jeff Moore joins us at 4:30. Can't wait for that. We'll make Temple picks at 4:50. Bo Marchant, collegetopro.com at 5. The original Grizzly beat writer, Ron Tillery, at 5:30. We'll crunch with Taco Bell at 5:50. That is the lineup for today's show. We are back in a minute. Gabe Kuhn will join us. We are officially underway on Sports Time.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
Hey, we understand. With everything that's happening, with all the new regulations, maybe you're not ready to come and hang out at Sweetgrass to catch a ball game. We want you to, we really do, and we're open for you to do just that. But we're also offering the next best thing, the new Sweetgrass Tailgate Party Packs. Whether it's wings, house-made dips, sliders, or other Sweetgrass tasty treats, all you have to do is call us or go to sweetgrassmemphis.com to order just what you're dreaming of when you're dreaming of watching sports and enjoying some sweet, sweet Sweetgrass.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Time to clean your car? We've got what you need. Our $25 premium car wash bucket deal has everything to keep your ride looking great inside and out. From McGuire's Gold Class Car Wash to interior detailer cleaner. And you can get it fast your way with our free same-day pickup, in-store, or curbside. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in on a gorgeous Tuesday, and a reminder, the first of the month, and that means, something great that I can tell you about from Family Leisure, and now we've got it. It's the official world's biggest spa sale. It has just officially gotten underway, and it's going to go all the way through October. You get up to 30% off on spas and swim spas. You can choose from hundreds of different spas from multiple manufacturers. There's special financing available, special pricing on chemicals and accessories. I got to get some of that. Professional delivery available. They'll bring it out to you. They'll bring it to your house. However you want it done, they make it work for you. At Family Leisure at I-40 and Whidden Road, now home to the world's biggest spa sale. Gabe Kuhn joins us now. We are really talking Tiger football now because it is just about here. And as Gabe was leaving from doing the John Harden radio show, I showed him quickly the depth chart for the University of Memphis. And what is his favorite position? You know that. It's very obviously the offensive
big
line.
fellas.
Yeah, it's those big guys up front. And you were a little surprised at some of the changes that Ryan Silverfield and the new offensive line coach Jim Bridge have come up with. So let's just give it real quick and get your sense. We know Obina Eze, who has a chance to be a really great player. He's the left tackle. Isaac Ellis, who is a sophomore from Monroe, Louisiana. He will be the left guard right next to Obina. Then Manuel Arona Lopez is the center. So he moves. I think he was a guard last year, was he not?
Sure was. Played right guard.
He moves to center. Evan Fields, another sophomore. He will be the right guard, and he's the lightest of anybody. Weighs 277. Well, actually, I thought Dylan Parham had bulked up a little bit.
I was going to say.
But right tackle
right
is
tackle.
Dylan Parham at 273. So that right side, obviously athletic, but not very big, especially when you compare it with the left side. What are the surprises for you?
The big surprise for me was seeing Dylan Parham move from that left guard spot he's been so good at the past 2 years and moving him to right tackle. Because I can tell you the transition from playing left side, game in, game out, to going to a right side, right-handed stance is tough. But when you have as much experience as he does, it's no surprise to see why they made that decision, especially if they don't fully confide or trust in the guys behind them. I thought Brian Thomas would have been a guy, from year one to year two at Memphis that might have taken over at that right tackle position, but I guess it just did not pan out the way the coaching staff had hoped.
He's the backup.
And you're going to.
He's Parham's backup. Yeah, it's interesting because, and I want to ask you about this. Just some guys are so athletic that they can catch on quickly. If you look at Dylan Parham, he started as I think they originally got him either as a defensive lineman or a tight end, and he's played
as a tight end.
And he's played. And then they moved him to D line, and now here he is, an offensive lineman that most people think he's the best chance of any of them, including Obina, to be an NFL guy.
Yep. The one thing he clearly has to do, though, at 273, he's going to have to put on some weight. But there's no doubt that he's the most athletic guy up there. When you move from tight end to D line to O line, you bring a certain facet to your game as far as pulling, as far as getting out into space on screen plays that a lot of normal O linemen just don't have. And he's a guy where, it definitely surprised me they kicked him out to right tackle, but at the same time, based on his athleticism, it's not going to be as tough of a transition as it would be for most normal guys.
Gabe, how do you ask one of the big guys to put on a lot of weight and pack it on in season when you're burning so much off?
What you do is, I'll just give you a sort of story about how they go about doing that. During camp, usually every meal is on the team. So you get your breakfast, your lunch, dinner, snack, all team given, and they have these two lists normally. I don't know how they do it now. I would assume they have something very similar. But you have two lists. One is a weight gain, one is a weight loss. And when you go through lines to grab food, the weight gain guys usually have to eat more, drink more milk, eat 2 plates instead of 1. They will actually have them sit at a certain table to make sure they can oversee it a lot of the time. So that's usually the way they go about it. it's different nowadays. I sort of wonder how they go about it this year. It's an interesting year. I don't know how much they're going to be sitting next to each other in the dining hall and everything like that, and being able to watch over that stuff. But that's usually how you would go about doing it.
Well, Parham's metabolism must be like outrageous because he's the same weight, and for 2 years they've tried to gain, they've tried to get him heavier.
He still played pretty well.
Oh yeah,
so that's part of it. But the other thing is, I can tell you from experience, Dave, when you are pushing 250, once you get over 250, it is hard to eat enough calories, especially with that workload that they have. It's hard to eat enough calories to gain weight. I remember.
So you're telling me and Dave we got to get to 250, Gabe?
Oh, I don't know how that would look on you guys nowadays.
It would not look. It would not be pretty.
But yeah, I mean, once you get to 250, it becomes tough to put on that weight, and I can attest to that. Like once I got to about 280, 290, putting on the weight became just a pain. You have to eat yourself into a basic coma every night, and your stomach is just so overblown. You feel uncomfortable. So I can see where weight, once you get over that certain threshold, is tough to put on.
What do you weigh now? Because we see you, folks can I think they can see you on the all the different things we have here. Where are you now? I am at 285.
Well,
that looks comfortable for you, so that wasn't that tough.
Gabe, you don't look 285.
No, because it's
I've
muscle.
Always been told that. I've always been told that. I have the longest torso in America. I don't know.
You really are cut. You really are lean. I would have never guessed 285. I would have thought about 255, 260.
Yep. Yeah, and that's a good thing. Thank you.
It is a good thing. All right, in Coach Silverfield's offense, how much will the tight end be required to be an inline blocker, and how often, if ever, does a tight end dip into the O-line meetings?
So the way I see it, this year is going to be completely different. I think me and Dave touched on this the first week I was on about you don't have Joey Magnifico, who was your Swiss Army knife, so to speak, as far as being able to block and being able to go out and catch passes. This year, you have sort of a different situation. You're going to have your inline blocker who is basically an extended tackle in Cameron Wilson, who's 6'7", 265 pounds.
Yeah, he only weighs 10 pounds less than Parham.
Yeah, and you're going to have Sean Dykes, who's going to be your extended blocker, your hipped off H-back, so to speak. And he's going to go out and catch a lot of passes, and that's going to be his role within the offense. So the way I see it's going to be way different than it has been in the past, because Joey was, an incredible piece to have. He sort of had his sort of underrated qualities about him, in the fact that you could put him off the ball, you could put him on the ball, you could ask him to go run a 9 route, you could split him out, you could do whatever you wanted, and he seemed to find a way to get it done. Whereas this year it's going to be a 2 tight end system where you don't really have a guy who can do both things. Cameron Wilson, I think, is a fantastic inline blocker. You see the size, that 6'7" again. He's going to be a great blocker, but again, he's probably not a guy you're going to send out on a bunch of routes unless you're in goal line.
I will say this. They said to me last year when he first came in, they said, listen, he's never going to catch a pass. Okay?
Right.
So they said. And he caught a touchdown in that very game. And, of course, I went to him, and I said, what? So they said, you know what? He's actually a better pass catcher than we thought. I never thought we'd use him that way, but it just came up with the way the scheme was and everything else that it would work, so we did it. But so he is capable. But you realize Sean Dykes, I didn't really notice this last year, but he only weighs 221 pounds. So he is not a big guy. What did Joey weigh? I was trying to remember. He weighed about 240?
240.
Yeah. 240. So somewhere in between those guys.
So, but to answer your question, Stats, I think this year is going to be way different in regards to having a tight end in line versus off the ball. They're going to sort of have to adjust to the system they have. And it's not going to look like it did with Joey, where you can sort of put him in against Swiss Army knife to do all of those things at once. Based on personnel, defenses are going to have more of an idea of what they're going to run. If Cameron Wilson is in, the assumption there would be, okay, they're going to run the ball. It's coming right here. They like to run the stretch play. They're going to have more of a cue on it. So they're just going to have to, adjust and make the game plan based on that.
Let's
What
go
do you think about Saturday and Arkansas State and your season prospects? You ready to go win-loss total?
Oh, win-loss total. I don't know if I'm quite ready to do that. It's interesting, though, because you look at the schedule in its entirety, 10 games, obviously. I think when you look at their conference schedule, they have one of the toughest ones by far.
Oh, they do.
I mean, you got Temple, you got UCF, you got Cincinnati. You have all the teams in there that are capable of winning and winning at a high level. So they certainly have one of the toughest conference schedules there is. So we're just going to have to sort of wait and see what those teams look like, how they look without spring ball. And we have to say the same about the Tigers in that fact as well.
Well, they really did try to match up. If you look at all these schedules, they tried to give the tougher upper echelon teams, since we're no longer in divisions, they went out of their way to try to make sure Cincinnati was going to play UCF, and they were going to play Memphis, and they were going to play Houston, and they were going to play SMU, because those are considered the best teams.
Yep.
So if you look at the Memphis schedule, when you look at Houston, SMU, and one guy's got SMU winning it. I don't. You got UCF, and plenty have that. Temple, which was a great team last year and gave Memphis the only loss, even though we think Joey Magnifico got his
may have caught it.
May have caught that ball. Then you got Cincinnati, and many people think that's the best team. You got Navy, and you got to play them there. You got Tulane, which I think is really a good football team. The only one in the whole bunch that I don't think is any good that Memphis has is USF. So basically, they got 7 of the 8 toughest teams you could have had.
We certainly have to step back on Houston. With De'Aaron King out of the fold, is that team really realistically a team that's going to be able to come in and give Memphis a run for its money? I'm not so convinced on Houston. But as far as Tulane goes, it's interesting because last year they got blown out and they had probably their best team they've had in a while, so I'm not convinced there. But when you look at Cincinnati, UCF, who are the other teams I'm thinking? I'm blanking out at the moment.
UCF, Cincinnati, you got to put
SMU, all these other schools. It's going to be a tough go of it. Temple is always going to be a tough, and Navy is always tough as well. So you have 5 games that are winnable, but let's not try and confuse the fact that they're also losable in the end of the day.
All right, before we let you go, your quick take on Kenny Gainwell and the people that are going to replace him. Everybody is talking, obviously, about a guy who was going to be a starter anyway, Rodriguez-Clark. They were going to play together, and you probably would have seen Kenny in a lot of slot stuff. And now Asa Martin, we know about him, and Kylan Watkins, we know about him. And I guess the new name that you got to get into the fold here is Granberry.
Yeah, I think Kenny's decision, we'll start there. Kenny's decision is based on a lot of factors that mean a lot to him, whether it's he's going to leave after this year, which I think is certainly a possibility. He's certainly a modern-day NFL back. He's a guy that, let's not kid ourselves, he can catch passes out of the backfield, split out. He can run in between the tackles. He can run outside. He does that. He checks all the boxes as far as the NFL back goes. So there's no blame that needs to be put on the kid. And also for the people that come out here and always constantly, it's a selfish move. It's a selfish move. Okay, listen. These kids, they work their butts off day in, day out for a scholarship, yes. not for money. At some point, they have to make a decision to maybe be a little selfish, to maybe put their self ahead of a team that they're not going to be on for maybe but 2 more years. They at some point you have to look out for yourself, and I think that's the main point I want to drive home with Kenny's decision. I don't find it selfish, but for those people saying selfish, I really do think you need to look into yourself, because I think projecting what you want on this kid is more selfish than anything he could possibly be accused of.
Well,
But
I would think, Gabe, once somebody learned that he lost 3 or 4 family members in his uncle that weekend at a funeral,
End of discussion.
that you would just say, okay, sorry, I shouldn't have even had that thought.
yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that, but it's always going to be out there. Can't pay too much mind to those people that make those that say those things, but they're out there. They're certainly out there. But as far as people that can replace him, I think by all accounts I've been hearing out of their camp, Rodriguez Clark is a guy that's poised to be, honestly, that 1,000-yard rusher. He's the guy. I think he's about 6'2". He can take some blows, but at the same time, he's not going to get hit a ridiculous amount. I think he's the guy that they're going to lean on the most by the time season comes around. The other guy is definitely Kylan Watkins. He's a guy who was basically the backup more or less last year when Patrick Taylor was out and Kenny Gainwell was in there. He has some experience, but by all accounts, I have been hearing nothing but fantastic things about what Rodriguez Clark is doing in camp right now, and they think he's poised to have a fantastic year. And not to mention, with Ryan Silverfield, with what Kevin Johns like to do offensively, it's no doubt a running back friendly offense. They like to get those guys out in space. The O-linemen are taught very well. They know exactly what their aiming points are. They create space, especially against these AAC defensive lines. So I think you're going to see a fantastic year out of whoever that stalwart back is. So I'm just excited to sort of sit back and watch how that shakes out. Again, you mentioned Asa Martin. You mentioned all these guys that are sort of a little bit on the outside looking in as far as being the main guy. I still think those guys can definitely come along and be fantastic, because you look at what Kenny Gainwell did last year, replacing a guy that everybody was terrified when he went out. When Patrick Taylor Jr. went out, there was a lot of questions. But you look at what Kenny Gainwell was able to do in replacing him, and it would be absolutely no surprise if somebody can replicate those results with Kenny out this year.
I know we got to run, but I do have to ask you about one other guy. I've not really heard him mentioned. And, when they first got this guy as a recruit, he was considered a really good back, and that is Timothy Taylor from East High School. What is his story?
To be honest, I'm not so sure. I wouldn't expect him to get a whole bunch of totes this year. Just truthfully, he's a guy who is very, very good at running between the tackles. He's got a thick body. He's very strong. So there might be situational, situations throughout a game where you may give him a couple totes. But he's a guy who's not overly skilled catching the ball out of the backfield, not overly skilled splitting out and catching the ball from there. So that's going to limit his sort of use within this offense.
Good explanation, my friend.
Yeah, but we'll see. He's a guy where if you want to give him the ball on 4th and 1 to go get you a yard, he's a guy who could probably do that. He's a guy who's very, very strong, a good talent. I got to play with him, good head on his shoulders, hard worker. So we'll see what happens with him this year.
He's our man, Gabe Kuhn. We talk Tigers with him every Tuesday in this time slot. Thank you. Go back to practice.
Thank you, Gabe.
See you guys.
Okay. Gabe Kuhn, by the way, he's also helping coach at Germantown High School. We are late for a break, and we have got to come back and make some picks. That is next.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
I Buy Houses. 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
I am telling you, this first hour is disappearing so quickly. We try to make picks. We try to figure out, this year is the craziest because we can't figure out what the dark.
I feel like figure out a schedule.
What the schedule is, let alone who's going to win the games. All right, so let's begin with South Florida, a school that has had quite a bit of turnover. They made some mistakes in their hiring practices, and I don't think they've ever really been sort of the same school they were when they were in the Big East. And they had Jim Lovett as their coach. I don't think it's ever been the same. They had I thought a good future with Charlie Strong, but that never obviously worked out well. Who, by the way, is at Florida Atlantic. He's going to face his own team his old team this year. But
Charlie Strong's at Florida Atlantic.
Oh no, he's
going through the Nick Saban coach's rehabilitation act.
Who is
at
the guy? Willie Taggart is the guy. It's Willie Taggart who's in Florida Atlantic, and he was involved with them at one time. Wasn't he at USF?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And Skip Holtz as well.
Oregon,
they opened They open with a win over the Citadel. Mm-hmm. Then they lose at the Notre Dame. They win at Florida Atlantic. They lose at Cincinnati. They win at East Carolina. Let's see if that one's played. Lose at Temple. Lose home against Tulsa, lose at Memphis, lose when they play in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl November 7th. I think they lose at Houston, although that's one that could be different. I'm with Gabe. I'm just so unimpressed with that coach in that situation. They lose to Navy. They lose at UCF, 3 up, 8 down, 3-8 for South Florida.
I couldn't say it any better. I mean, I'm in the exact same way. Citadel, they'll get. Then they go to Notre Dame, and I don't even know how they got Notre Dame on the schedule. That was supposed to be Navy's game. I guess Navy wasn't willing to go to South Bend, and South Florida was. And then the Florida Atlantic, where they'll meet their old coach, and that's a win. At Cincinnati, East Carolina's in such disarray, they'll win that game, and then they're going to lose out. And so I got it, 3-8.
I'm the exact same way as y'all, except I do have a win at home against Tulsa. I know Tulsa is a trending up team, but they haven't shown me in the last couple of years that they can close out games. They've had a lot of close ones, but they've always seemed to let it slip through their fingers. So until they can show me that they can close some stuff out, I'm going to be pretty down on Coach Montgomery and the Hurricanes.
I do not understand what.
So you're 3-8 as well, Drew?
Yeah.
I'm 4-7.
4-7. I'm really not sure, since you bring up Tulsa, what has happened with that team, because with that coach, he came in, he had this great offense. Do you remember how they killed us one year? Absolutely. The first year of that coach was there, Memphis went, I think it was there, and they clobbered Memphis. Memphis could not stop the run. They scored like 50 points on the U of M in that football game. And look, last year we should have lost to that team. There's no doubt in my mind. That
but
kicker
in every
gave us
good
the
year
game.
you have. But in every good year, you have that near-death experience. Everybody has it. I mean, the Sterner stumble for Tennessee winning a national championship. People have that, and the Tigers got lucky in that one. But you got to do enough to get to that point to have that other team have the stumble, and Tulsa did. Tulsa lost a couple like that at the Horn last year.
They did. Tulsa should have. I guess it was SMU.
That's part of the game.
They got SMU got lucky against them, and we got lucky against them, and that set up game day.
It set up game day.
That's exactly right.
How lucky was that?
We owe that to what was that kicker's name? I just was talking to Bruce Howard about that yesterday. I can't remember. Something with an R, I think.
I don't want to crush him.
All I know is they got.
He didn't have the name of the kicker at Pittsburgh that was named Blewett. Man,
no.
Kicker running out there named Blewett.
Jacob Rainey.
Jacob Rainey, because I wrote him a note. He was still on the air when we were leaving the basketball arena. I said, "This is the Jacob Rainey revenge," because
the 40-pointer.
Who can figure out that one? To lose to that Tulsa team, which was a good team, but not a great team, to lose to that team by that Memphis basketball team last year by 40, that might be. There's two games that come to my mind. Tubby Smith, when they quit in Dallas against SMU, that was just ridiculous. And then last year, I have no idea. I have no idea what happened. Well, that was a good SMU team, and I think
it was.
I think the Memphis team had checked out on Tubby.
Both are tough places to play, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I wish I could use that as an excuse. A tough place to play would be, okay, you lost by 10 or 12. 40? 40? You got to contribute to that. That wasn't a team. You got to contribute to a 40-point loss. That is an hour in the books. When we come back, college football remains the big topic of the day. We go to Brent Beard, our friend in Jacksonville. He's got notes. He's got it all. We are on fire today. This is Sports Time.
It is time for the final clearance sale at James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. Listen to this, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. You heard me, James Davis, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. Unreal selection of sports coats and sports shirts for your next Zoom call. Limited selection of shorts and knits, but there are some. If you get there, you'll get 70 to 80% off. Here's some of the brands you can save on during this incredible sale. Peter Millar, Sandstrom, Mac 5 Pocket. I'm talking 70 to 80% off while it lasts. The only place in Memphis that you can find the Stant custom shirt and pants system. Only at James Davis, this exclusive store for this unique custom fitting apparel where shirts start as low as $98, pants at $168. Go see it to believe it. The clearance sale at James Davis.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG FM Tunica Memphis, and WPGFLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in on this first day of September. craziest year in history, 2020. A day today. The numbers for COVID were pretty good here, but not a good day in Orlando, Florida. 10 UCF players have opted out, including a couple of stalwart defensive players and the backup quarterback, who's really pretty darn good. And his name is Darryl Mack. He's a guy who transferred in, and now they're...
He was going to start a few years ago, wasn't he?
He was supposed to, and they got this hotshot freshman from Hawaii. I don't know what his rationale is for this, and I don't know if Mackenzie Milton will ever play again, but I think he's still trying to rehab and come back, and of course he would.
Horrible injury. Alex Smith with the comeback. Alex Smith may be NFL comeback player of the year if he never plays a down.
You really think he will play a down? It's like Mackenzie Milton. Will he ever play another down of football, or will he be a coach?
Dwayne Haskins will give him the chance to play because he's going to be awful.
I just don't know if you can come back from that injury. I really don't. We'll see.
Yeah.
I wish both of them. I think it would be one of the great stories of all time if Mackenzie Milton or Alex Smith, but Mackenzie Milton, because his was, oh gosh, I don't even want to think about it. But
it was.
If he plays again, it's a gift from God. It really is. By the way,
you almost wonder if they should have to go through that trauma, that shock again, but they want to play and they've worked and Alex Smith's family's welcoming him back to being cleared medically. That was really nice.
It was. All right, let's bring in our friend from Jacksonville, Florida. That would be the one and only Brent Beard. I read his notes he just about puts them out every day. Always entertaining
that time of year.
And insightful. And today we know the president of the United States had a conversation with the commissioner of the Big Ten, Kevin Warren. Now there's some hope that they may even start the season as early as October 10th. I see that as pretty darn ambitious and probably hard to get to. But Brent, give me your take. What do you think happens with the Big Ten now?
Nothing. This is just smoke. That's all it is. It's their way of trying to save face at this point by having a little bit of this get out. The Nebraska AD, by the way, Nebraska is the one who wants to play. Bill Moose said of the October 10th start date rumor, there's nothing to it. And he is a part of a subcommittee that is looking into potential scheduling models as part of the league's return to competition. So that probably tells you something at this point. So look, it's at this point, guys, it's really hard to believe any of this. I think they're just trying to keep continuing to be vilified and mocked, and the DOT sign in the state of Mississippi. Did y'all see that today?
I did.
That was one of the more amusing things that I have seen in quite some time. But and I'll find it in a second. But guys, I'm just being real honest with you here. They don't want to play. And again, until you see something that comes out from the Big Ten presidents in mass, they're not playing. That's just where they are. They've stonewalled this thing. And by the way, the sign in Mississippi says, and this is on the interstate, be like the Big Ten and stay home and avoid gatherings.
And I said earlier, in the last hour, Brent, President of the United States is one thing. The most important presidents in this case are the presidents of the universities in the Big Ten. And that vote was a tour de force vote. It wasn't a Florida 2000. There were no hanging chads. That was pretty significant.
No, it was 11-3 is what we understand. So, which again was very unfortunate. And listen, I enjoyed that Central Florida Austin Peay game Saturday night, and again, not everybody reads Twitter like we do, but the Big Ten was made fun of and mocked that entire time, and that is going to continue. But Dave, I think that's what's going on here. I think they are just allowing a few leaks to the media to get people's hopes up, and if they can do this long enough, and people think, boy, it's just right around the corner, when in reality, they have, in my opinion, I don't think they have any motivation, indication to go back.
Will they play in the spring?
Maybe, yeah, but I'll be surprised if they do that. Frankly, at this point, and if they don't, look, if they don't play in the fall, they don't play in the spring. You've also got to wonder whether they need a commissioner at that point. And I think they've got that carrot out there for recruiting, and they've got that carrot out there for just to kind of keep hope alive with some of the players as they work out. So, or the Thanksgiving has been mentioned. So it tells you a lot about the leadership in that conference from where they're going right now.
Well, it is interesting to me because it was originally, they're holding out. Maybe they could have a spring season, and they would try to get that started as quickly as they could so that it wouldn't run and ruin next fall and kill all these, these poor bodies. And that, don't worry, we could have a second Rose Bowl. We could do a spring Rose Bowl for the Big Ten and the Pac-12. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, that sounds great. I mean, on paper, why not? We'll have football the whole way. Yeah. But
sure.
You know what? Sure. My friend Steve Earhart, my friend Harold Grader, they work all year long on this game. So you're telling me they're going to work on what is the Rose Bowl for whatever it turns out to be the teams that go there. And then they're going to turn around and no sweat. We'll just do another game.
Yeah. That tells you a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, I agree with that. But again, for this to happen, that they would basically have to come out and say, well, we were premature and we really made a wrong decision here, and I just don't see them doing that. And again, for a lot of people have said this. Playing in the spring and then playing in the fall. Look, I love football as much as you guys and anybody, and would watch it every weekend, 52 weekends a year. But I mean, when you're asking of your roster, although it would be somewhat different in the fall than it would be in the spring, is I think more than they need to handle.
Well,
there's a time for everything.
Your point well taken too. If this had been a close vote, if this had been 7-7, and then one guy acquiesced or two guys acquiesced,
give me a hanging chad
to make them happy, then I could see it. But this was pretty one-sided. This was 11-3. Our doctors are saying we shouldn't play, and now you're gonna like you said, Brent. They don't want to make their commissioner look bad. I think that's another part of this.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure what the commissioner could do that would make him look any worse than he is now, frankly.
But they are his boss, though, in fairness. Those presidents are his boss.
But at the same time, their lack of transparency and their lack of really explaining anything that they've done, I think, has been almost non-existent, which makes him look extremely incompetent at this point for what's happened. That and we talked about this before. This is one of those situations, experience where it really makes a difference. They needed a Mike Slive and they needed a Jim Delaney, and they didn't have it.
Yeah, but those aren't coming around in commissionerships just every time you hire one. They have those two distinguish themselves. It's like a lot of the problems right now at Arkansas. Jeff Long showed just how big those shoes of Frank Broyles were to fill.
Oh yeah, and I understand that. Yeah, and they continue to struggle. And listen, the problem Sam Pittman's got in Arkansas this year, and I really hope for them this doesn't happen. I mean, guys, they could be over this year when you look at that schedule. I really hope for their sake that doesn't happen, but it very well might.
They had a big opt out today. All right, Brent, what's more? What makes the season more fragile, the opt-outs or the virus?
Well, I would have said had the virus a few weeks ago, but I've had that conversation with a lot of people right now, and it may end up being, look, we're not ignoring the virus. The virus is real. The virus is out there, but at the same time, these SEC schools are doing all they can to be in order to play. But this, we can't ignore this opt-out situation right now. Look, and LSU is a prime example of what has happened with this and how that has affected their roster in this situation. And guys, look, and I'm telling you, the other thing that I hear is that you simply cannot ignore in this situation is if there is more unfortunate civil unrest, does a team on the Friday before Saturday game decide not to play? Look, I think you've got a lot of things involved with this, but Brett's onto something here. That this opting out at this point, and you can easily look at a school like LSU, who won the national championship, on how that's going to affect their entire season.
Well, for me, the answer is the virus, because the opt-outs are because of the virus. For the most part, if we were in a normal year, there wouldn't have been an opt-out of Kenny Gainwell for the U of M. If we were in a normal year, 10 UCF players would not have opted out today. They're opting out because of the virus. And here's the other thing. We're going to survive, for the most part, the first week or two when all the opt-outs will occur. After that, it's virus, I hate to say this, front and center. And the problem's going to be, well, what if we have a position group that can't play? Or what if we have three major stars on a team, so your ball club is not representative and you've got some flexibility to move that game 4 weeks from now? Everybody's going to try to accommodate one another, I think. So I still think it's COVID, it's the virus that is the one thing that we're going to be looking at a lot more than just the straight opt-outs.
I think the thing we've talked about for the last several months is still in play. To dovetail what Dave is saying, meaning the real challenge of this season, I think even more than just getting started, is just that. Is if you play 2, 3, 4 games and, man, momentum's going along, everybody's excited, and you get a breakout in that point, and if you do, you may end up having to reschedule or miss 2 games, and at that's when it's going to be the challenge, and that's when it's going to be when your plan and your protocol is going to be tested in order about what you need to do and how to handle this. And guys, I mean, that's going to happen, and I think that's why they're going to be watching the NFL very closely those first 2 weeks that they're playing, and that they'll continue to fine-tune this thing. Well, Dave's right about that. That's going to be as the season goes along. And people have asked me this week, would you celebrate an asterisk national championship? And my reply to that is, like I saw on Twitter last week, if we get through this season, you win a national championship, man, that asterisk ought to change to an exclamation point, because you deserve something for getting through this.
Well, you just look at the inequities that you already have in schedules. We just went over USF, and they're playing 11 games. Memphis has had 2 cancellations. They're not making them up. They're playing 10 games. Temple, and we're going to go over them in about a half an hour from now, they're only playing 8 games. Yep. And here's news today. Drew just put up on the screen for us, Drew Barrett, our producer, 1,026 active COVID-19 cases on campus at South Carolina. This is from the Daily Gamecock, the independent student newspaper at South Carolina. That's double the 557 from a week ago. We know North Carolina State today closed their student housing. So they're going, we give up on that. We're going to go all virtual from here on out, at least probably this semester and maybe longer. This is not done yet. We got good COVID numbers, thank goodness, in Memphis today. But I got to be honest with you, this is still ongoing.
Well, I think part of the SEC decision and we're still this is September 1st, which is amazing we got here, but we're still 25 days away from playing, which again I think shows the wisdom of this decision with the SEC to wait until then. Those numbers, while they're very concerning, it can also be very different in 2 or 3 weeks. That's why that date I think is going to is hopefully going to be able to help this league tremendously.
Yeah, we're still closer to the Big Ten and the Pac-12 pulling the plug than we are to the SEC starting. But around college football, at some places, like here in Memphis, it will start on Saturday. It started at the FCS level last Saturday, and you're right. There was a lot of people poking at the Big Ten with, if Austin Peay can play football, how come Penn State can't? But to each his own. They got to make their own decisions. If we play, who would you name the number one quarterback in the SEC?
I still go with Kyle Trask right now. From what I saw last year out of him, and if they're able to run the ball, and I think they will, they've got 4 or 5 coming back. I think that's going to be huge for him. And there's still a lot of questions yet to be determined in the league. I mean, can Mac Jones make that much improvement? Could Bo Nix make that much improvement in a year right now? So, look, guys, KJ Costello from Stanford could come in under Mike Leach in the magic that he does with quarterbacks and blow them all away. So, I mean,
that'd be a story.
At this point, we're splitting hairs, but I'll go with Trask for now.
So it'd be another Gardner Minshew story. I have this question for you. I think we all think Trevor Lawrence, the Clemson quarterback, is the number one quarterback in the country. Most people would have said Justin Fields at Ohio State was number 2. Now that he's not playing, who's number 2?
Well, that's a great question. It really is. Wow.
Is it Trask?
Maybe. I think he would have to be up there. And look, at this point, Trask may be in New York, and at least is one of the Heisman candidates whenever they do that. The way that Oklahoma develops quarterbacks, if the Rattler kid, who's named their starter today, had more experience, well, I don't know if it'd be that much of a leap to be able to do that. But look,
Sam Ellinger at Texas?
Yeah.
Well, Ellinger at Texas.
Make an argument for Trask right now.
Well, for sure you could. But you know what? He had a disappointing year last year. If he'd played as well as he did his freshman year, I'd be going, that's the guy. I'm going to throw this name out, and I'm being a homer when I say it, but how many guys threw for 4,000 yards and 33 touchdowns last year?
Dave, I think that's legitimate.
Brady White did.
I think he's better than Trask.
I mean, he's certainly up there. I mean, the people supporting Trask would say Trask face better competition, but at this point, I like the kid. He could be that good. Without the Pac-12 and the Big Ten,
sure.
That's going to help him too. I mean, his name's certainly going to be up there. But how tremendous would that be for Memphis if he made the trip to New York?
The same thing could have happened for Kenneth Gainwell too. I mean, he could have had an opening night, honestly, on ESPN that would have opened up some eyes, I think. So it's not going to be. It's not going to be. We got to learn to live with it.
Has Mike Norvell quieted the situation at FSU? Is it now everybody on the same page and just football? Because he had two major incidents. Is it going to be smooth sailing from here on for Mike Norvell, who never got close to that kind of controversy in his tenure here?
You never know, but right now it is. They're on the field and they seem to patch things up. And I'll say this: the guys who had raised the issues are now seem to be satisfied. I still think Marvin Wilson is the guy that he's leader of the team, the best player on the team, and arguably maybe the best defensive player in the ACC. At this point, he is all on board, and they are with Norvell. Look, for anybody who will listen around here, I've told them that Norvell is going to do really good things in Tallahassee once he gets set, and as you guys told me a few months ago, and there was a article about this like 2 days ago, that they may win 2 or 3 games based on their special teams, with how he emphasizes that, and I would agree with where that would be. So right now, Brett, I mean they like him. I mean again, they like Willie Taggart before they played game 1, but I can tell you this team would be much better prepared than they ever were under Taggart.
I'm going to tell you, there's not many better at preparation and figuring out another team's weakness and how to exploit it with your guys than Mike. I always marveled at that. And any assistant coach we ever had would just go, you won't believe how good he is. I mean, his offensive mind is incredible, and he sees things on film that to create matchups that not many people can see. So I don't think that that'll be a problem, and I do think he'll straighten things out there. This is what I wonder about, is that Mike is not real transparent in a lot of things.
Right.
And he could get away with that with the media here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he can there. And he's already turned off, as you just said, Wilson, and he did a good job of getting him back in the fold. But I don't sense that the press around the state of Florida is enamored with him.
Feels like 2 strikes and 1 more, you're out.
Yeah, well, let me say this, though. To his credit at this point, and I don't know who's talked to him about this, but he has been more accessible. And maybe it's the first year stuff, and he's smart enough to figure that out. But I was curious if he did this in Memphis. But he has been more accessible to the media after practice than any FSU coach we've seen in quite a while.
Huh.
And that may or may not surprise you, but I give him a lot of credit for that.
Not surprised.
And he may be doing it to garner some better public relations that might help him down the line. But look, I mean, it's some of these SEC schools. I mean, man, it's like breaking in Fort Knox to get the information right now. But to his credit, he has been accessible, and so have the players.
I'm not talking about accessibility. He was really good there. He was, and he was pretty straight with me. So I don't have a complaint. But he gives vague answers a lot of the times, and when you really try to get to the heart of the matter, he doesn't want to get there.
Right.
And that, I think, is where it frustrates people. And maybe he won't do that here. Maybe after this last event, he will change his tune. He was pretty straightforward this last time. You know, he did a great job behind the scenes with Marvin Wilson to say, my bad, I didn't explain that correctly. And he got his star player right back with him. The next time was really not his fault, and he let everybody know it quickly. So maybe he has learned his lesson.
Well, and I think some of that, Dave and Brett, is in hearing from some of the beat writers, that FSU, in fairness to him, FSU also has some malcontents that after they do some roster management at some point, that some of that will change. And look, when you first land at wherever you're going, you've got to deal with the hand you're dealt with. But I'm with you. I think what he's done with these two, it's one thing to have a problem. It's another thing if you let, i.e. the Big Ten, it's another thing if you let that problem go from warp 1 to warp 4, frankly. So, and he's basically been able to nip this in the bud pretty quickly after he started, his credit.
He's Brent Beard. We talk with him every week. Your notes are notorious. They're outstanding. You love college football. We love chatting with you. Thank you, my friend.
And let me say quick about the notes.
Yeah.
I sent you guys one version. Things change so much. 15 minutes later, I sent you another one.
We love it. We love it.
Love y'all
Thank
too.
you, Brent.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
You got it, man.
He may be sending
Brent
us
Beard
another.
talking.
He may be sending
He
us
could
another
be.
one in 20 more minutes. Who knows?
Talking college football, it changes rapidly. One thing that doesn't change, we're so glad to have them on board as a sponsor. It's the great food at Crab Kings, Memphis. It's official. That's the best seafood place in town with 7 flavors to choose from. Try the chicken and shrimp pasta. Now available salmon and fried lobster pasta. That sounds good, doesn't it? Snow crab, king crab, Dungeness, and more. The fish platter, $9.99. Lobster tails, $10.99. Jumbo wings, 99 cents each. Download the app or search Crab Kings. That's with K's, Krab, Kingz on Google. Crab Kings on Google. Visit us at crabkingstn.com. That's crabkingstn.com. Crab King Seafood and Pasta in Memphis. One of the great locations. It's at 7140 Stage Road. They serve the seafood that you're looking for at Crab Kings. The menu features snow crab and shrimp platter, crab pasta, surf and turf fries. All you can get at Crab Kings.
And the title sponsor of this hour, you know it by now, it's Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Right there in Olive Branch, just as you enter Mississippi. You take Highway 78, it's Lamar. And then you get to Craft Road, the very first exit. You turn left, you'll see this building, and you'll see all these cars in front. All new cars, because all the new 2021s are arriving. Won't be long. The new G car, the Genesis SUV, is going to be there. All the new Velosters and Santa Fe's and Tucsons and Elantras and G70s and G80s and G90s. They're all coming. And every new car has a limited lifetime powertrain warranty. They've had that for a long time on all the new vehicles, but now they've added a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package on every new Hyundai and every new Genesis. That's just a testament to how good that product is and how durable. And now let's talk about safety. You realize Hyundai was tied for the most number of top safety pick vehicles in all of 2020, and these 2021s are even better. So please go see my friends. They've been together for a long time. They take care of you at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We take the break. When we come back, it'll be a real pleasure to welcome back into the fold our friend Jeff Moore, the former Vol, and L.A. Ram. We talk NFL with Jeff Moore next.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
I want to invite you to come by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin on Poplar, your liquor and wine oasis. The Spirit Shop has been providing sports fans their beverage needs since way back in 1969. So come in now and get ready for the big game. Whether your favorite team wins or loses, the Spirit Shop will help you celebrate or ease that pain away. The Spirit Shop is open every day, and they're located perfectly at 4848 Poplar. That's the corner of Poplar and St. Nick.
Memphis, it's official. Crab Kings is where it's at. The best seafood with 7 flavors to choose from. Try the shrimp and chicken pasta. Now available is the salmon and fried lobster pasta. Snow crab, king crab, dungeons and more. Fish platter, $9.99. Lobster tail, $10.99. Jumbo wings, 99 cents each. Download the app or search Crab Kings on Google. Visit us at crabkingstn.com. Crab Kings Seafood and Pasta. Memphis favorites. Memphis, it's official. Crab Kings is where it's at. The best seafood with 7 flavors to choose from. Try the shrimp and chicken pasta. Now available is the salmon and fried lobster pasta. Snow crab, king crab, dungeons and more. Fish platter, $9.99. Lobster tail, $10.99. Jumbo wings, 99 cents each. Download the app or search Crab Kings on Google. Visit us at crabkingstn.com. Crab Kings Seafood and Pasta. Memphis favorites.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I buy houses.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
My world was strapped against my back. I held my hands, never knew.
Welcome back in. We're going to talk NFL football with our friend Jeff Moore in just a minute. I don't know if you've seen this. Tiz the Law, who won the Belmont, which this year was the first leg of the Triple Crown, the first jewel of the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
And was, I think he's 4-0 this year, and he's won by like 11.5 lengths. I mean, he's killed everybody, right?
Is he super horse, though?
Well, here's the problem. I don't know. Did you see today what his post position is?
17 hole. No one's ever won it from that.
17 hole. No one has ever won from that spot.
That's a long track.
Guess who the number 2 favorite is? I don't remember the name at the moment. The number 2 favorite got the 16
It's in 18.
hole.
16. Okay, yeah. And all the favorites out there, they got to run a long way. That's almost it's almost a yogiism, isn't it? They got to run a long way to win a race.
I'm going to say Tiz the Law is going to become the very first ever to win from the 17 hole. How's that? I'm saying it first.
That's bold. That is bold, Dave. And then the Preakness will be October.
Yeah, it's like a month away. Month after.
17th?
I thought it was like the 10th, but I could be wrong. I don't remember.
Maybe. But Saturday, as we talked about yesterday, we can't go when nobody can be there. I mean, Saturday's going to have a lot going on.
Whew, no kidding.
I mean, we're going to stop for 2 minutes and watch the Kentucky Derby whenever it's being raced, aren't we?
I'm going to try, but I could be on, I guess it'd be over before that broadcast starts. That race is usually about 4:45.
It'll be.
Well, I may not be able to.
You'll
have to text me.
A little later than that.
You'll have to text me about my brilliant prophecy that the first time forever and ever.
I've got my horses picked out for
2020 would be the year it would happen, right? I mean, come on.
We will have Paul Rogers with us on Thursday, and we'll have Dick Girardi with us on Friday, both discussing the Run for the Roses, the second leg of the Triple Crown.
Yeah. We got the good news the other day about Landers Notley receiving immediate eligibility. There are now 50 players who have received transfer waivers from the NCAA to play immediately. I know not everybody has been cleared yet, including DeAndre Williams for the University of Memphis. They're waiting on that one, but 50. There have been very few who have not been granted the waiver, and I don't know why they would.
And Tyler Harris got his
grant.
He got his
Congratulations
got his waiver.
Yeah.
And should. I just wish they would move a little faster on football at some places.
You would think they would get that done before they would get basketball completed.
NCAA, you would think it, though.
Yeah, well.
But that might be a little bit of their payback that they really don't control football. So hit the slow roll on football.
Yeah, well, maybe that is the way it is. And we haven't really talked about this, but the U.S. Open tennis tournament has started. Have you watched any of it? I watched a little the other night with Osaka.
Some
last
highlights,
night, I guess.
But that'll be going on Saturday, and all the college football that will be being played, and all the NBA and hockey and baseball. So we've got a lot going on. It beats the temperature we were in April and May. And we got a texter at the First Bank text line that touches on cases. He says cases, at Alabama, they've reported 1,368 cases across its 3 campuses, not a single hospitalization among them. And the texter's irritated at the administrators, but that's where we are.
Almost 1,400 cases on 3 campuses at Tuscaloosa. His point is it's the same thing, or his sense is it's the same thing as the flu, and we wouldn't shut down a campus for the flu. So I don't. There was also a texter, and it's funny because I just heard from him the other day. So somebody says, "Dave, where's Sean Toohey been?" Well, Sean is sort of selling a lot of his assets. He's in sort of retirement. He's still got a few, but he's taking life much easier. And he got. I don't think he'd mind me saying this, so I'll share it with him. He has had ankle replacement, and I am totally amazed.
I didn't know that. Gosh,
I
didn't know they could do that.
It's actually been around for about 10 or 15 years, and one of his Ole Miss buddies was in school when he was there, is the foremost ankle replacement surgeon in America. And Sean has needed this for about 8-9 years. And the doctor kept saying, we're getting this better, but I don't want to do it yet. Unless you're in excruciating pain, let's wait. Let's wait. And then he came to him earlier this year and he said, Sean, we've got it now. We've got it where it's really functional. If I put that in, it'll last you 20 years, and it is really good. This technology is now good. So he's had that done, but he can't step on the ground, not even in the walking boot, for, I think he told me, like two to 3 months.
Totally immobile for 2 to 3 months?
Yes. Yes.
Well,
he said,
I hope it works afterwards.
He said he could take a shower for the first time, and it was heaven. He hadn't taken a shower like 2 or 3 weeks. So
it's
anyway,
little things.
Yeah, it is the little things. It's little things like this. Reacquainting yourself with
sure
good
is.
friends. And that is Jeff Moore, who begins, what did you say, his 27th year with us?
27, started in the fall of 93. Is that right, Jeff Moore?
That is correct. Absolutely.
Well, I
Glad
can
to
tell
hear
you
your
this,
voice.
Jeff. Today is a lot different than it was 27 years ago. This is the first time that I've ever done the start of shows with you, and you were not in studio, and that's not your fault. That's the policy since we've got this pandemic, and it's good for all of us, so we all stay healthy and safe. So let's start that with you. How are you doing? How is your family since we last got a chance to chat?
Yeah, so we are doing fantastic. Very fortunate that we've not had any issues. We've been being extremely cautious about being safe and quarantining when necessary, or at least minimizing our exposure to crowds and groups. But masking up and just being extra careful. But we've been fortunate; we've not had any issues in the family at all. Everybody's doing great.
Jeff, you are from a football family. You and another brother all played in a Super Bowl. You and another brother both played at Tennessee. That wasn't the same, but it is a football family. Can you imagine going off the football camp this year with all these safeguards, whether it's pro or college or high school, with all these safeguards and kind of under these conditions?
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine because there's just so many unknowns. And you when you're in that environment, you're just so accustomed to doing things a certain way as far as the way you interact with your teammates, the way you interact in the locker room. And it's a new day. You just got to be cautious. You got to be mindful of the fact that, people are innocently, unknowingly spreading this disease, and so you can't be too careful. You just got, and of course that's why you have, on a pro level, the college level in particular. I'm sure they've ramped up the staff of medical personnel to just make sure everybody's doing things the right way and just being extra careful because, you've got that unique element that if one person comes down with an infection, you don't know how that's going to affect the rest of the team. I mean, it's such an unknown.
It is so weird. The NFL, this story is just coming out, is finalizing policies for artificial crowd noise as most of its teams prepare to open the season without fans. In fact, 26 have said they won't have fans, including the Tennessee Titans, closest city here. Dallas, Indy, Jacksonville, Kansas City, and Miami, and they're going to have limited crowds. The Cleveland Browns have not yet announced their plans, and Roger Goodell said they would implement a blanket policy to, I guess, have artificial crowd noise. and it's an audio track that would be played at every game without fans. It's worked for baseball, honestly.
Will it include booing?
But here's the thing: I've often wondered this. You hear it in the like for the NBA. You hear it on the TV broadcast, and you hear it on the radio broadcast, but you don't hear it in the stadium because we asked Drew Hill, who was in the bubble in Orlando, that you could not hear that. But I think in the baseball stadium they do pump it in. What would it be like for you, Jeff, to play in a stadium like that without fans?
Well, it just kind of reminds me a lot of when we used to have the live scrimmages prior, either in spring practice or prior to the season opening, where you basically you just only maybe had a handful of people in the stands. And of course, you line up and you compete, and it's no different necessarily on the field. It helps that the crowd is there. You get that boost and adoration if you make a great play, or the defense or offense makes a great play as a team. But the players that line up, the 22 that are on the field, just go with the instinct and just make the best play. And it'll be interesting to see how in football they adjust. But I'm watching the other major sports, and the players are just as competitive without fans.
They are, and Jeff, for the professionals that we mostly have been watching, NBA bubble, Major League Baseball, and soon the NFL. Their motivation is it's their livelihood. The game check. Right. For college players, it will require a lot of self motivation. It will require a very strong, a locker room presence, captains, team. The team counselors, the locker room sheriffs will really be big at the college level, won't it?
I got to believe that it's going to be the same with them. Most of the guys who are in college, have aspirations of playing at the next level. They have a lot of competition at their position, and they know if they don't do the job, there's a guy that's right behind them that's as good sometimes even better. And so, that level of competition, I think, is just going to continue to motivate players to put their best foot forward. And I don't know that the fan presence is just going to be that much of a factor. It's just a unique situation when it comes to sports. When it gets down to it, the guy across the line of scrimmage from me, I've got to beat him on this play. I've got to block him on this play.
Whooper get whooped. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, like I said, the other element is if I don't, the guy behind me is going to have a chance of replacing.
That's right.
Yeah. So that element is probably bigger on the college level than it is on the professional level because, there are more players.
The storylines obviously are really good as we get to start this season. If we do start it, I think there's a good shot at it. I just was reading an NFL doctor today saying
you're scaring me to death, Dave. You're so guarded. You scare me. You scare me when you say if, but you're right. You're right though.
This doctor basically said, if we keep them in a bubble and we test them enough, they're not going to transmit the disease when they start playing. So we can start talking about storylines. Look, the Chiefs were the storyline from last year, and you just saw their coach got an extension, and Andy Reid deserved it. And he's got the best quarterback, I think, in the game right now. The guy who's maybe the greatest of all time has moved to Tampa. What do you think that Tom Brady does to the Buccaneers? Do you think that team has a chance to really be good right off the bat?
I really do think they have a chance to be good right off the bat, and certainly – Tom Brady's presence with his just leadership, his experience, and what it takes to be able to get your team to play at a championship level is going to be something that those other teammates feed off of. And he's got some tremendous weapons in Tampa. He's got a great coaching staff. I think a coaching staff that loves and has always been good with working with quarterbacks. So I expect that offense to be very creative and very effective. Their defense is really good. The challenge for them is the division they play in. I mean, I expect the Saints are going to be good. I expect Atlanta's going to be better. I think Carolina's going to be good. So they're going to be in one of the toughest divisions in the NFC, and that's going to be their challenge. And, of course, them being able to protect Tom is the other piece. They didn't do necessarily a great job of protecting their quarterback previously, and so that I'm sure they're going to shore that up. But that'll be one of the things to watch. But I think they're just in a really, really tough division, and that's going to be the challenge for them week in and week out. Is just their schedule.
And next week when we do playoff prediction, everybody remember we're adding teams to the playoffs this year. Do you like that, Jeff? Do you like the expanded playoffs?
I like it. I like whenever a team can put together a successful enough regular season to make it to the postseason, because it just makes it that much more interesting. And players, they take it up a notch when it gets to the postseason.
Is this, I'm trying to remember, Brett, is this a pandemic one-year deal experiment, or is this a permanent thing?
Dave, I think permanent.
Yeah.
I think permanent. I think they were going to do it regardless, but I'm not certain.
Well, I will tell you this. I look at those baseball standings, and the way they're going to do it with two of the division leaders and then the other two, I mean, you're going to have there's a good chance you're going to have a team under 500 making the playoffs. And I don't know if that's good for the game or not, but if you're in that city with a team that's, a game under 500
keeps you interested,
and you're going, woo, we could still make the playoffs and then make our run, you're going to have a lot more interest that way.
And Jeff, we love a tournament. We love a bracket.
We do, absolutely. And you never know these teams that don't play so well and kind of barely get in. A lot of times it's because of injury. It's because of something unusual that happens. And if they're able to kind of keep it together enough to slip into the playoffs, those teams can be very dangerous.
Going to be a fun year. Let's just hope. I've got the feeling really good about the start. Let's just hope we can. College football is the same way, that we can keep going through this pandemic. Thank you, my friend. And as Brett says, we'll make some predictions next week.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome.
And remember, last year preseason, Jeff Moore picked the Kansas City Chiefs to be the Super Bowl champs.
He sure did. Right. He sure did. I think I had that too. Did I not?
I think you did.
Your silence is almost deafening. Silence.
I think you had Kansas City over New Orleans.
I think that is exactly what I had. This portion of the show is brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. Did you pay a big repair bill on your existing heating and AC system this year? Is your energy-guzzling heating and AC system on its last leg and you think it's worth nothing? Good news. It's buyback days at Conway, where they buy your repair bill back up to $1,500 toward the purchase of the best technology around in 2020, a Select Carrier Infinity system. That's right. They'll buy back your repair up to $1,500, even if they didn't do the repair. Just show your repair receipt from any company, and they buy that repair back. And if you didn't have a repair bill this year, they'll give you up to a $1,500 trade-in for the old energy-guzzling system toward the purchase of that new Select Carrier Infinity system. When an air conditioner gets older and inefficient, the cost of repairs and high utility, well, it almost pays for a new system. Call Conway, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company. Call today at 384-3511. That's Conway. We are back, and we will make some predictions right now on Temple in the AAC. That comes your way next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Hiring the best people can transform your business and help take it to another level. Indeed can certainly help you find those talented people. We have nearly 3/4 of all job seekers in the U.S., according to ComScore, and smart tools to help you find the best candidate for you. Indeed also provides flexibility to only pay for what you need and won't lock you into any long-term contracts. Claim your $75 credit to get more quality candidates fast when you post your first job at Indeed.com/high-impact. That's Indeed.com/high-impact. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey everybody, John Stacy of the Blue and Gray Show, brought to you by Wolf Chase Honda. Guess what? Football's back and so are we. The Blue and Gray Show now entering our 6th year. Drew Bear and I have been doing this, and we're bringing you some of the best Tigers through history. We've had them all on our show, and we're going to continue to do that. And you never know who will show up on the Blue and Gray Show. That's the Blue and Gray Show, brought to you by Wolf Chase Honda, right here on Sports 56 and 87.7.
Ugh, my stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismol's now in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And now you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Let me try it.
Try new Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey folks, it's Dominic Hoon, General Manager here at Sunrise on the Pike. I want to invite you to Sunrise Super Summer Sale going on right now. Deals are so hot, catch them before they're gone. Thinking about a new or used car, truck, and not sure where to go to get the most for your money? Come to Sunrise on the Pike. More than 500 Buicks and GMCs to choose from. The majority price at employee pricing. Bad credit, bankruptcy, slow pay, that is okay. Here at Sunrise, we specialize in secondary financing, cars below $10,000. If you got a job, you're approved at Sunrise, the home of the guaranteed credit approval. See us online at sunriseonthepike.com or in person at 1800 Coving Pike.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in as we cruise through our second hour here. You were complaining a little bit yesterday about the Cardinals' lack of doing anything at the trade deadline. I could have said
I wasn't complaining. That was analysis, Dave.
I could have said the same thing about the Cubs. I'll tell you who didn't sit complacent was the San Diego Padres. They make 5 deals. They got a great starter. They got a great closer.
Padres going for it, aren't they?
Did you see?
Padres are going to be there at the end.
Y'all
laughed at me. Y'all made fun of me over that pick.
Their odds have gone
I don't want your apologies.
Up. Way
I won't
up.
accept apologies.
I don't remember making fun of you.
Oh, you did, Drew. You and Dave both. Y'all
you
snickered.
sure?
Y'all laughed. You pointed. You ridiculed.
No. I knew what
won't
kind of
accept
talent was on that
apologies
team.
from you.
I think when the expanded playoffs took place, I believe both Drew and I said they would make the playoffs. So we couldn't have laughed that loudly at you.
I picked them to win it all, and you laughed.
Oh, they're not going to win it all. They're still not even.
Okay, now I remember
the
laughing.
favorite in their own division. The Dodgers are still the favorite by the odds makers. By the way,
now I'm laughing at my own pick. I had Padres over Rays. I'll stand by that on,
I'll tell you
on
what,
September Bruno.
That's looking pretty good. You picked the Rays. Did you know they were going to beat the heck out of the Yankees the way they've been beating them? You didn't say that.
I thought the Rays were a pretty easy pick because they were built for the sprint.
Built for the sprint. I like that. All
right, Dave. I've just discovered. I'm having a great day. Love being back. Love talking of the hopefulness of football.
What happened? Did you make money in the market today?
No, better than that. CollegePressBox.com's got all the game notes up. I know what I'm doing the rest of the night. And you tell the people at the University of Memphis, Tiger game notes look terrific.
Oh, they're good. They are
terrific. Good. Really, really well done.
They do a great job with it, and I've got it right in front of me, so I'm really pleased about that, and I can't wait to dig into it myself
I got game
tomorrow.
notes all night
There
tonight.
you go. All right. You won't be able to use them because you got to make your pick on Temple now, and I can't believe after I did these picks that
speaking of short sprints
what record I have them for, because this was a team that beat Memphis last year. This was a team that was in it all the way until the very end. Yeah. This is a team only playing 8 games. So they were supposed to play at Miami, and that game is not happening. They were supposed to play
Miami's
Idaho.
only 9 is going to be UAB next week.
Right. They were supposed to play Idaho. That game, not happening. They were supposed to play Rutgers. Well, we know that's not going to happen because the Big Ten's not playing at least until October 10th. Come on, they're not going to play that either.
Cheap joke here. Rutgers plays football?
Yeah, they do. I've seen the stadium. That's how I know.
Yeah. You have?
Yeah. When we
In Piscataway?
Well, don't you remember? They were in our league for a year, but we never played them in football. Played them in basketball. Big East.
I don't remember
Before
that.
they
I'm
went
sorry.
to the Big Ten, they were in the Big East for the 1 year we were in
right?
the Big East. We played them in basketball. And by the way, their basketball arena was the worst arena that we have ever played in. The only one I can think of that might have been, Fogelman isn't the greatest, and the old Hawthorne
Don't take a shot at the Tad
wasn't
Pad.
the greatest.
Don't take a shot at the Tad Pad.
I like the Tad Pad. You've got the wrong guy here.
If the roof wasn't leaking. I mean, Tad Pad was great if the roof was holding
The Tad
firm.
Pad was fine in its day. I think the Pavilion is a great arena. I think they did that.
Oh,
right.
it is.
I really do.
The Tad Pad.
But Rutgers plays.
I don't remember fine. It was tolerable.
Rutgers plays in an old armory kind of a barn. Okay.
Yeah.
And
like at
so
A&M,
you're doing the game
that you used to do games in.
Well, that one's bigger and older.
Raleigh G. White.
No. Raleigh White was much better than the Rutgers. Rutgers.
Always get the G and the Raleigh confused, don't I?
Listen to this. The Rutgers thing is you're up doing a game, and there's seriously, it's in the middle of this armory, and on either side there's 50, 80 yards. And so they've built stuff. So the baseball team was practicing to my right while the basketball game was going on. Hey,
Taking swings?
Stupid thing. Yeah, crazy. Terrible.
I'll cut to the chase. I'm 2-6 on Temple. Winning against South Florida as we went over in the last hour, and winning against Wobegon, East Carolina.
You forgot the first the game against Navy at Navy.
Yeah, but I only have two wins and rest losses. Lost at Navy, lost at Memphis, lost at Tulane, lost on a Thursday night against SMU, lost at UCF, and a loss at the end of the year to Cincinnati. They win at home against USF and East Carolina, 2 up, 6 down for the Temple Owls.
That is incredible stats.
We're way too close.
We have made predictions on 19 games today. 19 games. Mm-hmm. And we are exactly the same. And when I tallied that up, and I went 2-6 for Temple, that's not possible. That can't happen. And you had the same exact thing. We are exactly alike on USF.
I didn't do it hating. I mean, I just went through it, and that's what I thought. I didn't do it hating.
I'm with you. You and I were 3-8, same exact way. On USF,
the referee might be some contempt from last year, but no hate of Temple. I thought Temple was a good team. They got very fortunate that day on
they
on
didn't
that call.
win that game. That was Rip City, but it didn't matter. We still got to the Cotton Bowl. Same thing would have happened.
That's right. All's well.
We won
well.
the championship.
All right, Drew. Champions. That's what you play for, isn't it?
I got a ring today, by the way. They gave me my ring. It's beautiful. It really is.
You got game notes and a ring in the same day.
Yeah, it's a heck of a day.
What a hell of a day.
Heck of a day.
All right, Drew.
All right, just like last hour, I've got one more win than both of you. I've got Temple going 3-5 with wins over South Florida, East Carolina, just like both of you. But I'm going to give them upset watch for SMU halfway through the season. So 3-5.
Drew.
That is a home game.
It's at Temple
on a Thursday night. Yeah.
It
could happen.
It could happen. It's
not crazy.
I think SMU is pretty good.
I think they are too. And I thought we were really good last year and we stumbled there, so it can happen then.
And Tigers were really good. And I like the analysis. The stumble could happen on Thursday night. Crazy things happen.
It really could. Crazy things can happen to your roof if you're not careful. That's why you got to take notice. And if you want somebody to really help you take notice, how about Brian Elder Roofing Solutions? It's an essential emergency service, and sometimes we don't realize what's going on, and then it really does become an emergency. Don't wait for the problem to get bad. This is why you've got to call Brian Elder. He comes out and checks things for you with a very catchy number, 901-867-0303. That's 867-0303, Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. They use only the best products on the market. They also provide their customers with what I think is the best warranty for any roofing contractor. It's basically no questions asked warranty, which sets them apart from all the others. And, they only use the latest in technology and equipment so good they can measure your roof from outer space. You've heard that. They really do. But better yet, they come out and they take a look. So if you got questions about maybe insurance should take care of this or what happened or how long will my roof last, these are the guys. Choose Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. Again, that number, 867-0303. There's 2 hours in the books. More on the NFL from our friend from collegetopro.com. That would be Beau Marchant. He comes your way next.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
CenterPoint Energy takes many steps to help ensure the safety of gas lines in your community and shares important tips like the following. A distinct odor similar to rotten eggs is added to natural gas. If you smell it, clear the area and immediately call CenterPoint Energy. Plus, always remember to call 811 before you dig or begin an outdoor project. Natural gas is one of the safest fuels. To find more tips, visit centerpointenergy.com/gas safety.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Did you know that right now Geico is offering an extra 15% credit on car, motorcycle, and RV policies? That's 15% on top of the money Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? Your dog to make you breakfast in bed with Belgian waffles and fresh fruit compote? As nice as that sounds, that's probably never going to happen. But at least there's never been a better time to switch to Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch to Geico by October 7th. Visit geico.com to learn more.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Beau Marchant talking the National Football League with us, just a week and 2 days away from it starting on Thursday night, September 10th. We'll make a lot of picks next week when we talk to Jeff Moore and with Beau. We'll talk to Beau momentarily after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour. That's DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Check out all the happy referrals and look at all the beautiful cars they have down on Goodman Road. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area at DeSoto Auto Sales. 662-890-7184. All the cars test driven, all the cars checked out bumper to bumper on limited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts are taken at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in, you're treated like family, kind, courteous employees, laid back and down home atmosphere, no high pressure sales. But DeSoto Auto Sales, they care about your time and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in, Within 45 minutes, test drive your car, get credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in time to do it over your busy lunch hour or right now after work. You can do it in less than an hour. Unbelievable at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Proud to serve DeSoto County. 662-890-7184. DeSoto Auto Sales, that town and country experience down on Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales.
We will we'll chat with Bo in just 1 second. I just saw this story, and you remember how I was talking earlier? USF is owed $1.9 million by Texas. That's how much money they were paying for the Bulls to go down to Austin. And that was, they were going to do that twice. It was a 2-for-1 deal. They were actually going to go to Tampa, and they were still paying that kind of money. This comes from Bet McMurphy, and this is an hour and a half after we just said that, right? Texas is laying off 35 members in their athletic department. They also have 35 vacant positions that will not be filled. That, plus 26 coaches and administrators, are taking voluntarily temporary salary reductions, and staff members having to take salary reductions and furloughs will save UT $13.1 million. So,
and if it's happening in Texas,
exactly where they were spending $2 million for a team to come there, and now they have to lay off people to save $13 million. I mean, I never thought I would see the day that would happen at the University of Texas. I really did not. In the meantime, we do chat NFL with our friend from collegetopro.com, Bo Marchant. We do that every Tuesday in this time slot, and there is an interesting story that is just coming out here, too. The New Orleans Saints are reportedly open now to trading Alvin Kamara because he wants more money. Their contract negotiations have lingered. I think they want a first-round pick. Here's my thing to you. You know, I am like if it's a draft, I am not a running back guy because I think the game's changed. I think quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, the passing game is much more of your offense than running. But, and there's a big but, if you've got a back that you know is great, then I think he's worth all the money that he wants. And Alvin Kamara, I think, has proven himself as a heck of a back. There's only a few that I would pay big bucks to. He's one of them. What do you make of this story?
I find it strange, guys, that the Saints would publicly say they're open to trading him, or that news would be leaked, just in terms of, because if you do not get a trade done, I just think there's a bad taste in each one of the, at least in Alvin Kamara's camp, that, okay, you don't want me here. Now, do I really want to sign a long-term contract, or do I want to just play this season out and test free agency next year and try to avoid the franchise tag? On that flip side, when you look at what Alvin Kamara brings to the Saints, 81 receptions the last 3 years on average, and he's that dynamic three-down back. Now, he's not your typical, Zeke Elliott, power back where you're going to feed him the ball 25 carries a game, but he is going to be a guy that touches the ball, 20, 25 times, but in different ways. And for them to come out so early, and we're so close to the season, and then when you think Drew Brees came back for basically probably one more season, this is kind of the last hurrah before you can, say Drew Brees may, go off into the sunset after a Hall of Fame career. To bring this up this close, I don't know if there's more that we don't know about, or they just know they may get a deal done, or they're just playing hardball, but I just think it's a bad image to show. And this is the other thing. I went on Spot Track. He's the 25th highest paid Saint on the roster. So it's obviously a little disheartening. And granted, all these guys, if you sign these contracts, you get underpaid. But I could see where Alvin Kamara feels a little bit slighted knowing that, he's going into this, Super Bowl aspirated season for the New Orleans Saints. And, he's, kind of being called out. And, he's the 25th, 26th highest paid Saint on the roster.
Yeah, but you're right about the Saints. This is, it's not quite the Chicago Bulls, the famous documentary, but this is last dance kind of year for them with Drew Brees.
It is. And so I like I said, I don't like the timing of it. And, I know they said he's been holding out the last few days. Could be bad timing on his part as well. But, as a running back, we've seen, Todd Gurley, he lost money when he got let go by the Rams. We saw, it's hard to get that big payday for a running back. And I don't think it's a trend we're going to see. I know Joe Mixon signed an extension with the Bengals today, But that Christian McCaffrey money, I don't know if that's on the table for any of these other guys, at least as, their current situation stand. Plus, the Saints aren't a salary cap friendly team. So again, maybe signing him to a longer deal, it actually helps the Saints. You can kind of maneuver that money and do some things. But them being where they're positioned, just in terms of, I think, what is internal in that locker room saying, you know what? Arguably, we could have won the last couple Super Bowls. We were that good. We were right there at the pinnacle to get to that next step. But misfortune, some weird plays that don't happen to many teams, they could have been hoisting that trophy that they all covet. So, again, I don't like the timing from the Saints, but I also think Kamara and the Saints are a perfect match. And I don't know if he's prolific as he is in any other city absent of that Sean Payton offense. Sean Payton has had a 1,000-yard runner twice since he's been there as coach of the Saints. So, they value the running game, but that ball is disputed between many backs, and we know the receiving game. And that's where Kamara comes alive, is in that receiving game. So, again, Mark Ingram was there. He was the lead back, and Kamara got to kind of piggyback off that, be the fresh face, the fresh legs, as, Ingram did the dirty work. In another city, I don't know if an offensive philosophy is going to change just to kind of accommodate the skill set that Kamara has. Now, I'm sure if you're going to go out and make a trade and try to sign the guy long term, you're going to make those adjustments. But I'm disappointed to see that come out. Again, I just think it's distasteful for the Saints to say we're open the trading guy. Next week we're going to be making picks on opening week for the National Football League. I just think it's too close. This is something you kind of maybe pull the trigger on. Early May, middle of June, especially under COVID when there's nothing going on. But, in the heat of training camp, to pull the plug out like this, I just think it's kind of weird.
Does that say to you that they're done with him? Or is this strictly hard-nosed, we're not negotiating with you?
Yeah, Dave, I wish I knew. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's saying, hey, you know what?
Pretty hard-nosed.
We can move you. Yeah, if we can move you, we will. If it benefits us, and if not, where we are. You know what our salary cap is. We can't get any more money than what, if we don't have it, we can't give it.
That's right.
Again,
salary cap's public.
It's out there, and now it is. And I just know me as a player, or if that was my player and I was an agency, I don't think there would be a lot of friendly things going on between, text or conversation. And I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is my own observation, but again, if my wife says, listen, if you don't go get milk right now, I'm going to find somebody else to marry tomorrow. I'm going to well, if that's what it's going to be, then yeah, I'm like, well, obviously I don't know where we stand in terms of, okay, I'm not going to get milk tonight. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, you know what? If it's that easy to let me go, then I don't want to be here anyways.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened to me the last 2 weeks with Dave. He wanted me to go get milk, and I took off the last 2 weeks.
I just want to know, do you have to heat the milk for your wife? Or, I mean, this is tough. I didn't realize.
It's tough times in Eastern Ohio,
I think we're going on 24, 25 years. I'm happily married. Like I said, she's a franchise pick. Yep. So.
Yeah, very, very, very good save, Bo Marchant. And the running, think about the running back room at Alabama when Alvin Kamara was there. He could not get on the field. They had him as one of the gunners on special teams. It was such a crowded running back room. He got out, got to Tennessee, and made his money and made his fame.
Yeah, and I remember I was in an Akron game, scouting a game, and I was sitting next to two scouts, and they were talking about Alvin Kamara. Two teams, obviously, that did not get the opportunity to draft Alvin Kamara, but they could just say that the pain that they said their draft rooms felt on draft day when they were unable to, grab him, and he ends up going to New Orleans. They said it really. Both these guys were, they're openly talking that when Kamara came off the board, like they just knew the Saints got a very special player. Third round, but again, we know the running back position is diminished in the draft, and and that's where even talented guys like Kamara, you're still going to slip. So. I know those two teams coveted him, and the way they made it sound through their conversation that, I think there's a lot of other war rooms in the National Football League that wish they would, could have got their hands on number 41 for the Saints.
I think you were very kind, Brett, in your description about how crowded that running back room was at Knoxville. I think Butch Jones never figured out how to use Kamara the correct way and didn't realize what a great player he had.
Yeah, he transferred from Bama. That's where he couldn't get any playing time. And then at Tennessee, I don't think it was recognized that he was that good and to feature him more. You're right about that. Bowie, sometimes in these picks and prognostications, we get out a little bit a year early. Could we have done that with the Browns last year and this year with the coaching change? And I love that coach. I don't know him, but I knew his dad when he was here with the Memphis Grizzlies, and have kept up with his career and heard a lot of great things about him. Could this be the Browns' year?
We talked a little bit about that last week. I think the Browns are in a good place. Last year there was so much hype around a young team. I think it would have been hard for any team to kind of, overcome all the hype, especially not knowing really how to win as an organization and coming together as a unit. They got a new head coach, so it's going to revolve around Baker Mayfield and that offense really coming to life. When you have Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, arguably one of the best backs in the league after his phenomenal year last year. There's a lot of excitement. And again, it's the roster on both sides of the football is very plentiful. And this is something that team lacked for many, many years. I mean, you talked about the most bare cupboards in the National Football League. I mean, just to try a blue chip guy on either side, absent of Joe Thomas, you're going to be lucky to find that type of individual. So now,
he was it.
Yeah, he was it. But now you're starting to look around. You're starting to see some really talented faces making an impact play for them. I thought they knocked it out of the ballpark with Myles Garrett. When you take a defensive end with the first overall pick and he has the career that he has so far, all the arrows are pointing that this is a guy that, you can build a defense around. They signed him long term, and you got that critical year 3 for Baker. Baker's rookie year, he looked like, phenomenal. And he struggled last year, so this is an important year 3. And hopefully, his nerves are calm. But and I always think about what you say, Brett, though. You always say that he's one of those guys. And every time I think about him, that also comes to mind. What you said is, does Baker Mayfield like playing with peace and calm around him? It seems like he does have to have a little bit of, friction to succeed. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's a good thing in the National Football League to have that, in a locker room week in, week out. But, if he's going to, become a winning quarterback in this league, he's going to have to learn to win, with friction and without friction.
Could it be he got figured out? I thought the guy was going to be great. I never loved his whole attitude. I think
I did.
Brett,
I loved him.
I think he's a kind of a drama queen guy personally, but I thought he was going to be really good. And I don't know if it's a sophomore jinx or if maybe he got figured out. I'm not a believer in him like I originally was.
You know what? I was high on Baker. I thought he was my favorite quarterback coming out. I'm on, I guess, Brett's side. He does. He can rub a certain fan base, a certain type of, the wrong way. But I like.
Oh yeah,
him,
you got to buckle up.
Yeah, yeah. I like what he brings to the table, and anyone, every situation is different, but I do. I like Baker Mayfield, and I still like his upside. Listen, I know things, and I'm sure many of NFL insiders do too. Cleveland was there is some toxic things going on at certain times, and Baker has been part of that. Not him himself, but just things internally in that organization. So it's up to the organization to have a better understanding of having an environment that's allowed these guys to flourish and get ahead of the game and become a winning organization. And we know the last few years, especially over, since Hugh Jackson, they were just dismal and, about as bottom as you can get as a franchise. So, but again, hopefully everything kind of calms down and he can take that next step. I want to see him succeed. I'm a Baker Mayfield guy. And I just think, he's a good guy for the NFL. If he's playing well, you know what it is? He creates, he gets other teams up. We saw last year when the 49ers were playing them and Bosa grabbed the thing and he acted like he was planting the flag. When Baker did that in Columbus at the Horseshoe against Ohio State when Oklahoma came in there and won the game, Bosa still was thinking about that. He was still the first pick of the draft or whatnot, still making money in San Francisco, having a super rookie year. And when he sacked Baker Mayfield, what did he do? He was like, you know what? I'm thinking college days. And and it's payback. So,
right.
He gets everybody excited. I think both on his other side, and I think opponents want to get up and, play him.
Yeah, and you know what Baker Mayfield's comeback to that is? I played the whole year for my team and played in the college football semifinals at the Rose Bowl in one of the greatest games ever. I didn't quit like you did, Bosa. He's 12-17 in 29 starts with the Browns. That's not great, but it's better than what they had endured for 3 or 4 or 5 years before him.
Yeah, when you look at the previous record for the Browns quarterbacks, that's a Hall of Fame career.
1-31.
Yeah, you could say 12-17, and you could put him next to Marion Motley and Jim Brown, saying, "Hey, what you're on the pedestal of the 2020 decade." I mean,
those other quarterbacks did not have as much talent around them as Baker Mayfield has as well. I mean, Baker Mayfield can be a good quarterback, no doubt. Maybe he's going to be the guy that I thought he would after his rookie year, but he's also had some help there.
Yeah, he's got to tone it down a little bit. All right, it's a big year for him. Here's another guy that we keep waiting on, and I'm big on. In fact, I'm much bigger on the quarterback for the Jets than I am the quarterback in Western New York. I'm big on Sam Darnold. I need him to help me out a little bit, though.
Yeah, well, you know what? Adam Gase needs to help Sam Darnold out. The Jets as an organization need to help him out. I like Sam Darnold. I still think there's a lot of upside in his career. Again, I mean, look at how Le'Veon Bell. He struggled last year. That whole offense in New York struggled, and then you think of Robbie Anderson goes to the Panthers. Brett Perriman they brought in. And he had a rebound kind of comeback player of the year type year. For the Ravens last season. But when you talk about bare cupboards. What are you surrounding Sam Darnold with for him to be a prolific passer in this league? I mean, you look at, and again, you have to have talent in all positions. You have to have a great line. We saw what happened to Eli Manning without a good line. I mean, even despite him having, Odell Beckham Jr. to throw to him, if you have to have everything. You have to have a run game. You have to have guys pass block. You have to have receivers get open. When I look at the Jets, you have to. But again, you know what it is? It's not so much Sam Darnold. I am not a big supporter of Adam Gase. How he jettisoned from Miami. I know he had I think he was 50-50 win-and-loss record in Miami. So, but again, it's just he was supposed to be this offensive guru-minded guy. And when I look at the Dolphins under his leadership and when I look at the New York Jets under his leadership, I think it's overwhelmingly insulting at how bad the offense looks. And you can go back and look at the numbers. I mean, when you see shutouts for Miami Dolphins and the way that the Jets have been lacking in any potency and offensive firepower, Gase wants power. He has that power, and he's failed to deliver. So, again, I like Donald. If anything, I know this. If the Jets don't have some sort of success, we know Sam Darnold's probably going to be there in 2021. We probably won't see Adam Gase.
I think, some guys are really good OCs and some guys are really good head coaches. I thought Gase was terrific OC at Chicago, and he's not done that as a head coach at either place that he's been. I got to ask you about Joe Mixon. You talked about guys flourishing. Here's a guy that, he dropped to, second round in the 17 NFL draft because of off-the-field problems. I didn't know if he would ever really be able to get past that. And he signed a $48 million 4-year extension today, so he's going to be a Bengal for the next 5 years, helping out Joe Burrow. Did you see that coming with Joe Mixon?
Talent-wise, Dave, I thought he was worth the talent. You never know, but I'm just saying draft days. Second round. We know he would have been a first-round guy if not for the incidents at Oklahoma. But at the end of the day, I think he's an underrated running back. I think, we get caught up in, looking at the Bengals, and especially last year, they got the first pick and, because they were that bad. But when you look at Joe Mixon overall as a player, distraught of everything. And I also think this kind of sends some validity to, who he is the Bengals saying, we want to lock this guy up with an extension. So I think that's what he's meant to the team. But I'm happy to see him playing well. I thought he was a fantastic prospect coming out of Oklahoma. Again, we knew everything that went on that, dropped him down the draft boards. But when you look around the league, if you really watch Joe Mixon play, you're talking about a guy, he's like 6'1", 6'2", 220, 225. He's a big, skillful running back. And again,
from a running back school.
Yeah, and I am, and I do. I've joked to myself. I have an affinity for a lot of Oklahoma Sooner prospects. I just something about Oklahoma guys. They have the measurables. All the big schools do, but there's always something. I have that sweet spot for these Oklahoma guys coming out, and like I said, Mixon, very, very underrated running back. I don't know his stats off the top of my head, but I know he's had back-to-back 1,000-yard years. I don't know what he had his rookie season. But, just coming, year 4 going into this league off back-to-back 1,000-yard years, It's pretty substantial.
Well, I'll give you his numbers: 2,888 yards from scrimmage, 17 touchdowns
That many
over the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
That's pretty heady stuff.
That's how you get paid. That's how you get $48 million.
Exactly. That's pretty heady stuff. All right, we make our predictions next week, Bo. So get ready. Get ready to argue.
Oh man, I can't wait. Hey man, you know what the best part about this is? We get to do it. Imagine what we'd be doing next week if football wasn't happening.
That's right.
That is on the money, my friend. Thank you. As always,
Have a
we
great week,
appreciate it.
gentlemen.
Thank you, Bo.
Stay safe.
That is Bo Marchant, collegetopro.com. He's brought to you in part by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. If you're looking for a dream home, if you're looking for a renovation, I call it renovation with innovation. He takes all the modern amenities and puts them in your old house, and suddenly you've got this up-to-date place that you call home. Now go to KenGarland.com. I want you to do that just to see what he and his dad have done for about the last 50 years. He is the premier builder in Memphis, he and his family, for 5 decades. And it's the little things that matter. He sees the little things. He sees all those tiny details, and yet he sees the big picture all at once. That's what makes him, I think, so special. And he's going to work closely with you because he knows what a commitment. And he gives you these things because that's what's important. Quality construction on time and on budget. And that's what he's been doing, he and his dad, for generations. Again, go to that website, KenGarland.com, and then call. Discuss 751-1632. He's a really a joy to talk with. And interesting, and he'll give you great insight. If you're looking, by the way, for a new development, he's involved with Boyle in a gated community called Alaylon. It's at Messick Road, east of Kirby, all the way to McVay. 4-bedroom homes, just beautiful, starting at $875,000. If you're interested, again, here's that number, 751-1632, Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Back in a minute, we'll talk the NBA with the original beat writer for the Grizzlies. That would be the one and only Ron Tillery. He's next.
It's R&R on Sports.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1.
Don't miss us.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage. Factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you're treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
Napa know-how. Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping on over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Ruddock Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at barksdaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say barks.
Mako is ready to fix those dents, repair that collision damage, spray on a fresh coat of paint with online estimates, contactless service, and our best price guarantee. Come to Mako and roll out refreshed. Go to Mako.com to get started and to find a shop near you. Better get Mako.
Always get your go-to with the new $10 Tastemaker from Pizza Hut. A large pizza with up to 3 toppings for just $10. Choose contactless delivery or curbside pickup at pizzahut.com. Price higher in some locations. Limited time offer. Availability of contactless curbside and delivery areas. Charges and minimums vary. Delivery charge not tipped.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Cruising through our final half hour. Wallo and Stats with you. Drew Barrett is on the dials, and I hope he's got everything cute, because I don't want any disharmony. I don't want anybody walking off the set. If we, by contract now, if Till doesn't get this, this is trouble.
He's out.
Look at this. Drew Barrett. He didn't even know what I was talking about. Now he's struggling. Now he's trying to figure this out.
He's making a rapid comeback.
Oh, this is incredible. The fingers are flying. Now he's telling me, hold on. I don't want to lose Tillery. If we lose Tillery, this is seconds. On Drew Barrett. Oh,
now we're saved.
Lord. It's a good thing we know how to dance around stuff. Ron Tillery. How are you?
Man, you guys are hilarious. That was funny.
we had to stall a little.
Well, you know what? Hey, and I agree with you, Wallo. Drew brought this on himself, because one of the first times I came on, neither one of us knew what the hell he was playing. We didn't even know what that was.
Right. But this is perfect. This makes me think of you and the Bulls. This is perfect, Ron Tillery. We have got. I mean, these things in the bubble have been outstanding. I find myself. I didn't think I was going to love it, but I love it. And this Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray thing is. This is the stuff that if you're Adam Silver, you dream about. You've got two guys emerging now,
developing rivalry,
and a Game 7 that is just going to be outstanding.
Right, and you know what it reminds me of, guys, is and I always bring a Grizzlies reference into this. When the Grizzlies became the Memphis Grizzlies, when Zebo and those guys were coming up, so were the Oklahoma City Thunder, and there was a magazine cover with the prominent stars of the Grizzlies and the prominent stars of the Thunder on there, and the headline was "Who's Got Next?" And that's what we're seeing right now with those two teams you're talking about. These are two very good young teams with two young stars, emerging stars, and it's like who's got next? They're duking it out to see who can pull ahead. Unfortunately for Memphis fans, the Thunder pulled ahead in that scenario.
Oh yeah.
Ron, the Thunder did pull ahead in the grand scheme, and I know a finals appearance, but they lost the three superstars. Yes, we would trade for their body of work, but do they have that much more to show for it than Memphis?
Well, I think anytime you make the finals, then the answer to that is yeah. I mean, because that's the ultimate goal. I mean, you may not win. When you think about how people judge, like the Charles Barkleys, the Patrick Ewings, the Stockton and Malone, they didn't win, but you can at least say they made the finals.
That's right. New Jersey Nets made the finals. That's right.
Yeah, and that says a lot. You got to win a lot of ball games just to even get to that stage.
Well, so, I guess we have Anthony Sane on Mondays, and he was talking yesterday his theories about superstars. And if we look at that, I mean, you got Chris Paul. I'm not saying Steven Adams is a superstar, but he might be a bigger name than Valanciunas. It's fairly close, but he's been a factor in bigger games before than I can recall with Valanciunas. And then take in a guy like Schroeder. I mean, just look. When you start to look at the tandems or the trios, in these Western Conference teams, as good as Ja and Jaron are going to be, and you throw in, I don't know, Dylan Brooks or whoever you want to make that third, if it's Justice Winslow, if he ever plays, they're good.
That's a big fall off
They're good, but let's take a look at these other teams, and, you got to let reality hit.
Oh, no question. The West is loaded, and you got a lot of good teams, a lot of good up-and-coming teams, and I think, like we may have talked about this last week. That was one of the reasons why I didn't understand why people were mocking the late great Michael Heisley's 3-year plan. He was trying to build a team and a franchise for when the other team fell off, and I don't know if you can do that now. The Lakers may fall off, but look at Sacramento. Look at New Orleans. Look at the Grizzlies. I mean, all these young teams are jockeying for position in the Western Conference, and only 8 teams can make the playoffs. So it's it's a really fun time to be watching the NBA.
By the way, the Celtics and the Raptors' first game of the doubleheader, because the Game 7 with Utah and Denver is about 7:30 Memphis time. But the Celtics and Raptors all knotted up with about 2-3 minutes to go in the first half. That game tied at 43, so there's some defense going on in that game, which is we haven't seen a lot of defense every night in the bubble. But this is must-win, don't you think, for the Raptors? They can't fall behind 2-0 to Boston.
Oh, I agree. And I actually feel like Toronto was getting way too much hype. I think people were impressed by their record without Kawhi. But once Philadelphia fell off, because you guys both know that was my dark horse. Once Bennett had Ben Simmons had to leave, there was no way for Philadelphia to compete. And so I'm just saying all that to say that Boston became my team. They're going to get past Toronto, and they're going to give Milwaukee one hell of a problem. That's going to be a great series. Because I don't like to do the whole overreaction to one game. I know Milwaukee lost game 1, but they're going to win that series, and it's going to be Milwaukee and Boston. And with the young talent and the depth that Boston has, I just would not be surprised if they advance.
I'm with you on the overreaction, but if little word, big meanings. If they were to lose that series, if Milwaukee didn't win that series, wouldn't that send shockwaves through a lot of Grizzlies fans and Grizzlies brass on if Milwaukee can't do it with Giannis and satellite players? How in the world are we ever going to assemble them here?
Well, man, that's a really good question. I just feel like it's incumbent upon GMs to do their job, and they get paid all year to evaluate talent and to know the cap and to put the pieces around the star players that it takes to win. And, I mean, when we talk about Giannis, I think he went like 15th in the draft. That means that you like
there to be taken.
14 dumb GM. No, I just I just think if you are a Grizzlies fan, then the pressure has to be on the front office to identify the necessary talent. It can be done. Look at what I think Wolo brought up Oklahoma City earlier. Look at what Sam Presti continues to do in Oklahoma City. To keep them competitive and to keep them relevant.
Gilgeous Alexander,
that's what you get paid to do. And then I'm not a fan of people getting fired. I wouldn't root bad for nobody, but they should have fired Divac in Sacramento because he wasn't getting it done. And instead
he fired himself, Ron. And I think in most cases you do.
Yeah. And instead of just switching coaches just to keep yourself employed, I'm glad owners are now starting to say, okay, the guy I put in charge of the basketball is not getting it done.
Yeah, because you know who the owners aren't going to fire?
Themselves.
They're not firing owners. That's right.
Right. That's why I laugh too, Stats, when people say they should just sell a team. Man, stop that. Yeah,
Come on now.
You think James Dolan's gonna sell the Knicks?
Serious inquiries only. Serious inquiries only. And you know, at a college football job, you know, after they do the coordinator dance, or college basketball, you do the assistant coach's dance, and there's nobody left to fire but for the AD to fire you.
Yep. Yeah, and so I always think, you know, I don't think we can buy into that whole small market thing anymore. I just think, you know, you got some smart GMs and you don't have, you know, some that are so smart.
It's an excuse, isn't it?
Yeah, because just look at around the league and how the money is spread around. It's an equal opportunity league right now.
Well, look, San Antonio has been a small market forever. Please don't tell me you can't do that. Milwaukee's not the biggest market. Oak City, as you just mentioned, because of Sam Presti, and they got a
Salt Lake
superstar
City.
in Chris Paul. Salt Lake City's not the biggest market in the world, and you know,
and everybody goes to bed at 7:30,
and they've had several eras. You know, back to Layden, and then Stockton and Malone.
Back to Darrell Griffith.
You're talking about 3 or 4
with Frank
different,
Layden. Good point.
3 or 4 different eras where they were successful. And look, the Grizzlies did get lucky. They got a break to get the right number to get Morant, and they got a great pick at number 2. They did a good job at getting Jaren Jackson. So they have a chance. And look, Michael Heisley with Chris Wallace in that era, they did make a run to the Western Conference Finals. It could have gone their way. It didn't, but those were fun years. Mm-hmm. So that it can happen. There is no doubt in my mind about that. You just have, as you just said, now you got to find, if you've got Ja and you've got Jaren and they live up to the billing, you've got to find the right pieces that go with it. And Zach Kleiman deserves the shot at getting it done, because really, if we're being honest, he overproduced this year.
Well, and to Stat's point, ultimately Zach Kleiman will fire himself. If he fails to put the pieces around Ja and Jaren, then he will fire himself, because
he'll be on an island.
Just think about the grit and grind years and how they just piecemealed that. You know,
right?
You know, I mean,
really
it was just always looking for a backup point guard, always looking for a shooter. I mean, the storylines were the same every year. You know, and yet they still made the Western Conference Finals. So,
and Ron, I know you do. You remember my love affair. I didn't think life would be complete until we got Jared Bayless in Memphis.
Yeah.
You're telling me slow way down.
I can't believe that we could not find a backup point guard in all those years. That to me is the most astonishing.
Well, I had Gravis.
Oh, come on. Now, the only guy that loved him was Greg Gaston, because he was a Maryland Terrapin. Exactly. Yeah. I'm still amazed at that. And I was just trying to think of, what did the Grizzlies get for Kyle Lowry? Because if you'd have kept Lowry and Conley together, everything might have been different. What did they get for Lowry, Ron?
Well, I can't remember it, because I can't remember that they got absolutely nothing. That was one of the.
That's not much.
That was one of those periods where they were just doing salary dumps. But there's the story about Kyle Lowry, and I know it's a great debate because of how he's turned out, and I like Kyle. Still communicate with him. But when Lionel took over the team, Kyle Lowry was on Mike Conley's level. And Lionel said, no, we got the 4th pick in the draft. We got to figure out if he can play. So he gave the keys to the car to Mike Conley, and Kyle just didn't handle it well. I mean, he was, I got to keep it clean for radio. I mean, he just became unbearable. And I was in practices where he was getting in the fight. It's just like that frustration was coming out, and he became uncoachable. And so they just got him out of here, because Lionel's thing was, we got the 4th pick in the draft. Mike Conley is part of our future. We're not going back and forth. You know how Ronnie was going back and forth and wouldn't settle on one of the players?
Yeah. You got 2, you don't have 1.
Right. And it's just like quarterback. You got a starter, and then the backup.
You got to settle on
play. If the other guy get hurt, you don't just go back and forth. So that's what happened to Kyle in Memphis. And then I'm going to wrap up Kyle with this. So he went to Houston eventually, and, you know, he was uncoachable under Kevin McHale. But he really matured in Toronto, and I'm happy for him. And I'm glad he's had the success that he's had. But it wasn't until Toronto that he matured.
I buy that. Last question for you, and you only got 30 seconds because we're really late, but you intrigued me with something. You said, you know, most guys fire themselves. Since you're a 76ers guy, we find out now, did Brett Brown fire himself, or was that a bad deal?
I didn't think that was just a bad deal organizationally. That guy was following the program because what they were doing with the process, that was organizational. I don't think he deserved to be fired. I think he's a good coach. I think he was following what they tried to do, and I think now they're rudderless, and just firing him just pretty much puts an exclamation point on the fact that they're rudderless.
I'm in total agreement with you on that. As always, we appreciate it. We'll do it again next week. Thank you, Ron Tellery.
Hey, thank you, guys. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, man.
Do it again next week. He's brought to you in part by Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. And, of course, there's the genesis of Olive Branch. Now, this is my new bailiwick. I love these G cars. I had a 90, now I got a 70, and I got to look at that SUV because it's arriving. The 2021 models have started to arrive in Olive Branch. And, you know, with any new Hyundai or any new Genesis, you're going to get two things from Homer, because he is the standard for the way car business should be done. You're going to get a lifetime limited powertrain warranty on every one of their new cars, and you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package on every new Hyundai and every new Genesis. And Auto Trader, by the way, named Hyundai as the best non-luxury certified pre-owned program. Go see my guy, Ray Melton. He's been in the business literally 60, 70 years. He loves chatting cars. They all do. They've been together for a long time, and they put out, with this product, the best service you could possibly ever have. What a combination. Service and product at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We take a break, and when we return, it'll be crunch time on Sports Time.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Save now on your 2021 swimming pool at Family Leisure. Buy now at 2020 pricing and save your spot for the first installation of 2021. Patio furniture 20 to 30% off. Play gyms in stock. Beat the heat with an indoor game table or slate pool table. Pool toys and floats up to 30% off. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Family and fun come together.
I'm here with the outstanding team from Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway. They're online at lexusofmemphis.com. Gary, tell everyone how they can experience the Lexus of Memphis satisfaction.
Come in and be a part of our family at Lexus of Memphis. Experience the customer service that we provide to each guest like a member of our own family. If you're on the side of the road and you need us, we're there. If you need help with anything with your car, technology, Bluetooth, the app suite, we have a dedicated team to help you with this in your journey with your Lexus.
That's how they do it at Lexus of Memphis.
When the idea of divorce becomes a reality, you need someone on your side. If you are a man in this situation, you should consider contacting Cordell & Cordell, who has helped men navigate complex family legal issues for 30 years. Visit us at CordellCordell.com to learn more.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Memphis attorneys. Online at CordellCordell.com. Office in Memphis, 6000 Poplar Avenue, Suite 225, Memphis, Tennessee, 38119.
Even in times like these, special occasions happen. And when an occasion calls for special, it calls for 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination. From the spectacular 36-ounce porterhouse paired with a Ferrari Carano Cabernet, to the jumbo lump crab cakes, to the raw bar with oysters fresh off the boat from the Gulf and the East Coast, there is simply no finer dining experience in Memphis than 117 Prime in the heart of downtown. These are complicated times, but if you want simply the best, you want 117 Prime.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. We beat you with the deal, we get insane.
You know, we sometimes love to look at odds and things of that nature. You know who has become the odds-on favorite to win the National League MVP?
I would say young Tatis.
You are so good. I can never get anything by you. Mookie Betts originally was the big favorite, but
I picked Machado to be the MVP, and he's had a good year. But Tatis last night got his second triple.
I hate to tell you, Machado is way down the list. Tatis 7-2, Mookie Betts 4-1, Juan Soto and Mike Yastrzemski, which I love, 7-1.
I do too.
Bryce Harper 10-1, and a bunch of guys. Machado is 14-1.
Machado's slashes look good. It's just not as good as Tatis, but that lineup is loaded. They can beat you a lot of different ways. I just wonder if they'll have enough bullpen. That's what they're trying to fortify, if they'll have enough bullpen, because, boy, late innings, Dave, it turns into spring training games. You see bullpen catchers pitching, and you see a lot of goofy stuff.
Well, that's what I think Craig Kimbrell should really be. That's what, he should be in the bullpen catching, not pitching anymore.
That's a shot. Man, turning on the Cubs this early.
Well, not really.
It took September last year for you to turn on.
Cubs are still going to win the division. Come on, there's nobody in that division, for goodness sake. It is time for Crunch Time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest Crunch Time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously Crunch Time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Learning right now in this Toronto-Boston game on 11 fouls up to about 10 minutes ago. Keith Smith, our buddy that joins us on Thursday, tweeting that. I love that. Let them play. Let them play. Let the players decide. Also learn today only one horse can win the Triple Crown this year, and that is Tiz the Law. He'll have to do it in historic fashion. The Kentucky Derby has never produced a winner out of the 17 hole. He would be the first to do that, and I think Saturday, special analyst should be Maximum Security with Bob Baffert as the translator, because he speaks horse.
Oh, Bob Baffert, I could tell you exactly what he would say. He'd go, Maximum Security thinks he got robbed. Look, if they're going to let him play,
understands horse.
They're going to let him play in the NBA today, they should let him play.
Let him play coming down the third turn.
Churchill Downs, for goodness sake. I learned
1,200-pound animals.
Serena Williams is on her way to try to catch Margaret Court with 24 majors. She won today at the U.S. Open debut. Serena winner over on the American 7'5", 6'3". It was tough. With all the other great players who aren't playing, this is a good shot for Serena to get it done.
It is. I think she's the greatest women's player ever, female player ever. I heard Chrissy Everett making kind of the case yesterday in a lively debate with John McEnroe that Martina and Steffi still should be mentioned in the greatest ever, and John McEnroe greatly disagreed. Could have done without. Absolutely, it's the president's prerogative to encourage commerce, business, enterprise. That's what he was doing in contacting the Big Ten commissioner. It's what Bill Clinton did during the baseball strike in '94 with my friend Bruce Lindsay serving as an emissary for Bill Clinton with the baseball people. And it's also what I think late in the second Clinton term he did in the NBA basketball strike. Look, I'd rather see presidents doing this than the dopey jersey ceremonies.
Well, he's passionate about it, that is for sure. By the way, I think Serena Williams is the greatest female tennis player of all time, but I think certainly Martina Navratilova and Steffi Graf, and in particular Martina, because she was such a great doubles player too. They're in the conversation, but when it all is said and done,
right, that was the
Serena
debate. That was Chrissy and John McEnroe's
clearly the
debate.
best. I could have done without all the opting out. We saw today 10 UCF players, 2 key defensive players, a backup quarterback, a couple of backup offensive linemen if they have any injuries up front. I mean, that really will affect them, and who knows how many more there are to come. I guess we'll just have to sit and wait.
If the baseball playoffs started tonight, my Cardinals would be in it. You know that, don't you?
I do know that. That's because there's just so many
could be
teams
on a collision course as the 6th seed to play the Cubs as a 3 seed.
Bring them on. Love to have it. Except for Gabe, if it comes down to Craig Kimbrell, we're in trouble. We got to thank Gabe Kuhn. We got to thank Brent Beard. We got to thank Jeff Moore. We got to thank Beau Marchant. We got to thank Ron Tiller. We got a big show coming your way tomorrow as well, including T.J. Reeves, John Goen, Rick Horo, Steve Earhart on the bowl business. It'll be busy then. We'll see you tomorrow.